It's been a long week, right? Are you ready to wind down? Why not? It's time for the Wine Time Fridays podcast with Shelley and Phil. Neither are sommeliers, but both have a deep passion for life, each other, and of course, delicious wine. And now, here to talk about this week over a glass of wine is Shelley and Phil. It's wine time. Hello and welcome to another episode of Wine Time Fridays with Shelley and Phil, and we're back on the guest train. Shelley, we're back on the guest train after a week off. No guests after 7 weeks of guests. We have brought some guests back on. This is episode 216, Friday, June 7th. We are in June, which is Idaho Wine Month. Happy Friday, Shelley. It's wine time. Oh my gosh, it's a double bell ring. You guys, she's never done a double bell ring before.
We are special. I like it. Climbing up the ranks here.
Man, this is awesome. We have with us Cara and Keelan Dickson. I really want Keelan's middle name to be Mason.
Mason, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it could be Mason Dixon.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like the Mason Dixon.
Yes, correct.
You know when you have to explain the joke, Shelley, it's not funny.
Don't teach that in school anymore.
No, probably not. We have Cara and Keelan Dickson with Rosemary Manor in Post Falls, Idaho. Yes, Post Falls, Idaho. I want to welcome both you guys to Wine Time Fridays.
Thank you. We're
Thank you.
excited.
Thanks for having us.
So this is their inaugural experience in podcasting. We're going to show you what not to do. In my case, it's just yabber, yabber, yabber.
I was going to say our expectations are sky high here.
Okay, perfect.
Sky high.
Perfect. And then we're going to taste through wines that we don't even know what we're tasting. I mean,
true.
we kind of got a hint before we hit record, but we really don't know. So we have our nifty little sheets to write down notes. But Cara, you and Shelley actually know each other from another world, in a sense.
Another world.
Well, I mean,
Polka dot world.
Yeah.
Yes, the marketing guru over here. I'll never forget she had such good information. And I think one of the biggest pieces I took away was making sure you direct all of your subscribers, interests,
Followers, all
not
of that.
to your social media, but to your website.
Yep.
And that was just a really good piece. I actually share that piece a lot with other business owners.
Well, you
good
own
piece.
two things. You own your website
Yes.
And you
and
own
you
your
own your
newsletter.
list.
Well, and we've
Yeah.
seen how often those accounts go and they don't come back.
Well, and
It's
if
true.
they do, it's not easy.
Oh, yes,
yeah,
correct.
it's not easy.
Correct.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
so.
One of our polka dots lost her Facebook, Colleen.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh.
Russell,
Or they become then something where you're asking friends for money and people are then looking at you weird when you show up to places and you're like, that's not me. That's not me, you know? So
when your friends
yeah.
are asking for money instead of wine, they're the wrong friends.
yeah, exactly. You start to know there's something
Normally
weird
it's the other
here.
way around.
Shelley and I were down in the desert down in California in Joshua Tree, and we can work from
It's a
remote.
beautiful place.
And I was outside working, and a friend of ours called me and said that it's a Post Falls business that her parents had, and it was a very tough handoff to another
Mm-hmm.
business owner, and they couldn't get the
no.
Facebook
Social.
stuff figured out.
Oh, no.
And I said,
And they were writing bad messages.
Yeah.
back then.
I said, this is like basically social media 101, but really Facebook 101. If you're going to start a
Yes.
business page, you need to own that, not use don't give someone else that admin. Always have
Correct.
at least two.
Oh, yes.
So that when one goes away for whatever reason,
Mhm.
they're not able to
They're not the only one with the password
That's
and
right.
login
Yeah, yeah.
information.
Yeah, right.
Yep.
So-
Yep.
Exactly.
So this ends our social media 101 talk for today. You can always.
Where's your bell again?
We do have the Wine Time Fridays. We have the social web wine words of the week. We'll get to that at some
Say
point.
that 10 times fast, right?
10 times fast. We are going to get into our first wine. And I have nothing to do but to watch you pour.
Great.
So what are we
Okay.
starting with, guys?
So the first thing I want to start off with is our red blend here. So this is actually a blend of 4 different varietals. We have a Cabernet, a Malbec, a Merlot, and our Syrah.
Are we working backwards? I would think we want to try to. white first.
You want to go with white first?
I say we go white first.
Okay,
Come
that's
I
on.
fine.
thought
We
he'd
can do
been
that.
hanging out with Jesse.
White and light. We got to work ourselves up to the guts and the
Yeah.
glamour,
Sure.
right?
Well,
Let's
that's
go
fine.
white and light.
Let's do that then. So the first thing we're going to try then is going to be our Alvarihno.
Okay.
Nice.
So we'll just change
With
that
no
up.
label, it's that new.
It's that new. So
Don't
we
tell
actually
anybody.
just got done bottling this about 3 weeks ago.
It's an invisible.
This is a 23.
So this is a 23 Alvarihno, correct? Yep. So everything was produced right here. We get our grapes from Yakima Valley.
Thank you. And we were going to have to do our Wine Time Fridays toast. We only do one long one,
Okay.
just so you know.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, this may not be your first rodeo, but it's ours. So
Nice.
the expectations
Well, we
are
hope
just
not to buck you off.
So this is going to be very aromatic. It probably just got done with bottle shock. It's also going to be a lot of melons.
Yeah.
It's going to have very
Is stainless steel?
It's all stainless steel.
And then
correct, yeah.
how long
Sounds
will you
yummy.
keep this in the bottle before you actually release it? Will it a month?
So we'll taste it throughout the aging process, and we'll determine when we're gonna actually release it. So this will be actually my first time trying it since we bottled it.
This
So
is
gonna be
fantastic.
awesome.
I love this. To health, wealth, and abundance, and gratitude, and romance.
come
Peace
on.
on earth.
Those are
Peace on
all
earth.
beautiful
Cheers.
things. And to
And to
wine.
you guys,
Come
and
on.
to wine. I know.
Wow, that's beautiful.
That's delicious. Very nice.
So very fruit forward. I'm actually very happy with the way that it's coming out so far.
That's good.
I would assume that it's going to be an earlier release than probably the Chardonnay is going to be. It's not very sharp.
No.
It's easy to drink.
Yeah,
very
I'm getting
fruit
stuff on
forward.
the back of my
Yes.
very minerally
Oh, yeah.
and some acids. Yeah.
Yep, a little bit of acidity is going to be perfect. So I would say we would probably only age this one for about another month or so before we actually
Sure.
get it out
I'd
the
even
door.
say fresh green grape.
Yep.
It just tastes a little bit
It's
of
very
like,
zesty.
Yes.
There's a little bit of lemon in here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wasn't that amazing? That's the thing that I love personally about wine.
Right.
You can have tried and true characteristics, but depending on the time of day, what you've paired with, I mean, on the back of your palate, the funny part, everyone is going to pick up possibly something just a little bit different. And I love it. I
And-
love
and
that.
It
honestly-
about
depends
wine.
on your history with
Yes.
tasting things.
Exactly.
There were so many times Shelley will bring a reference up of much of it is like a swamp or a
Frogs. It smells like frogs.
because she grew up in Canada and she was
Yes.
always catching frogs in the
swamp.
in the swamp. But there's that smell. It's not a bad thing, but sometimes you get a little of that in some wines. I wouldn't know how to identify that profile
Yes.
because I didn't grow up
Right.
in the slum of Canton.
What's really
Oh,
interesting-
he's only had a sip and he's first starting in. Okay.
Oh,
I know how this is
I'm
going to go.
really careful with Shelley, though. I'm really.
No,
I should
that's
be
true.
more careful, but yeah.
It's true. It's those embedded notes and those smells, and especially when it can take you back. I love that. I love that brings out something for you because it's back when I was playing as a kid in the swamp and the dirt and the
Yeah,
the rocks, and I love that.
The Jolly Ranchers or
Yes.
the Big League Chew or
Yes,
the Captain
right.
Crunch with crunch berries or the Captain Crunch with no crunch berries. I mean,
Yeah.
all of our experiences lead into what we're tasting. And like if you guys know who Gary Vaynerchuk is, we bring his name up as often as possible so I can tag him. So he'll be a guest at some point. We're going to have
You're
Brandon
exposing
on.
your secrets here. Oh, okay. You get
Look,
right to it.
We're
I like
trying to
it.
be as transparent and as authentic as possible.
I love that. I love
But he's like, before he could even drink in his dad's wine store,
Mhm.
because he wasn't of age, he would read these publications. And then it's, a bell pepper, go take a bite of bell pepper,
Mhm.
right? And smell that inside. So he was on Conan O'Brien and they had rocks and they had dirt.
Oh my
And Conan's
gosh.
like, what do you eat the dirt? He says, you don't eat it, Conan, but you put it in your mouth.
Yes.
So it's the
Absolutely.
terroir and
And the
it's
rock.
all of that, you know?
Absolutely.
I got in trouble when we were down in Paso Robles. I think it was Tawas Creek.
No,
It was Rocky Pond.
Mm.
That not Rocky Pond,
Turtle Rock.
Turtle Rock. Those two always confuse me. I actually, because there's
You
a
licked
lot of lime.
the display rock.
Oh,
Yeah, a little chalky.
A little chalky, but everyone's like, Phil, what are you doing? Shelley didn't kiss me that day at all.
oh.
But
Shut that.
it's
You're spreading using terms all over the place.
It's a note to self.
I love it. So now you've established, you've licked that rock. I wonder how many other people have done the same, though.
It doesn't matter to me because this is one of the best disinfectants that I can think of.
During COVID, my husband even said, he goes, if we keep our mouths at a 72% alcohol level, nothing can live there.
Oh my God.
I
Keelan,
promise,
love
that's,
we were trapped on this property for months. I loved it.
I know, right? That might be on the front end.
Yeah, all the wine.
We were talking about the sensory side of things, and
Yeah.
it is true that when you get a high intensity of something, you can start to pick that up in the
Yeah.
wine. So I wasn't able to pick up oak at all until I actually ran a winery where I had oak, that intensity of the oak room, and now I can pick it up every single time. It's kind of cool when you have that high intensity of a sensory, and then now you can pick up the low intensity.
That's
of
right.
wine.
The nuances. Exactly.
Like they'll say this wine has some cassis, and I'm like, I have no idea.
I have
don't
no
know
idea what you're
cassis
talking.
is.
I remember
But it does taste like black licorice to me.
Yes. And I remember when he was punching down our 2019 Cabernet, it was so amazing. He'd come in and he would go, I just smell bubble gum and strawberries. And it's just amazing that even in the punch downs of
the
it,
punch
the
downs,
fermentation, you were able to pick up a consistency. And even in that wine now, you can taste the strawberry in that
it's
wine.
So
And
freaking cool.
it's amazing.
I
It's
want
amazing.
to talk about what this Alvarihno might have in common with Albarino.
Really? Okay.
Aren't they similar grapes?
Aren't they the
Albarino,
same grape?
That's what I'm saying, but they're called different things in different countries.
Well, that's what I assumed that they were the same grape, just grown in a different region.
Yeah.
Kind of like Syrah and Syrahs.
Yep.
So,
And style, I guess, probably play into
probably
it a
where
little
they
bit.
produce it. Yeah, the style is a little bit different, but from my understanding, it's the same grape,
Yep.
varietal. It just is grown in a different region.
I was
Different
throwing it out there
country.
as a educational thing, a teaching moment.
Yeah.
I thought
Shelley-
you meant El Nino.
so hopefully
I
I'm
was like,
Shelley looked at me
what?
like, what are you talking about? It's the same grape.
Yeah.
I know, my love.
I get asked that quite a bit about Shiraz.
Yep.
Yeah.
We
Because that's
just
the one that's common.
had Molly Duker on 2 weeks ago
From Australia.
from
Oh,
Australia
wow.
Okay.
Awesome.
and tasted through 6 of their wines. And of course, in Australia, it's Shiraz.
Mhm.
And it's the same grape,
Well,
but
it's Shiraz.
Shiraz, thank you.
Shiraz.
But it's
Shiraz.
the style. It's if you're going to have a Fumé Blanc or a Sauvignon Blanc, the Fumé Blanc is going to be in a different style than typical. So it's all of that, which I find fascinating, really, and also intimidating if you let that get to you.
Oh, absolutely. When you say something that maybe you're not familiar with, I mean, we've obviously not produced every grape varietal out there. Who
Right.
even
I don't
knows
know
if we
anyone
will?
has done that.
But it's
Or
amazing.
possible in this area,
It's
right?
amazing that they say you can study wine for an entire lifetime.
Yep.
And you almost will barely scratch its surface.
Mhm.
And that to me is what's so intriguing, and there's just endless information because of how long people have been producing, aging, fermenting, growing. I mean, it's an amazing thing to
And
hear 16th generation winemaker in
Right.
Riesling. I mean, you're just like 16. You were serving wine to Jesus. You were at the party.
You
were at the party. You witnessed it.
Well,
and so
and
it's amazing. I
Even
love
if
it.
you were to be able to,
Mhm.
first of all, you would be probably dead.
Yes.
If not, you're a bad alcoholic. But if you were able to get through those 2 challenges,
Yeah.
you have the next vintage
Yeah.
to start all over.
Yeah, you just gotta
From the
start all
same
over,
block, different year,
I-
different weather, it can be a completely different wine. And I love it. I love it.
And how about a block that's, this block, and you go
Mhm.
20 feet to a different block,
Yeah.
and those micro terroir differences.
Mhm.
Yeah. Those all those little
I don't know if I'll
micronutrients,
ever
conditions.
get to the point where I can identify those, but
Like that one guy.
oh my gosh, we watched a movie the other night and it was really good. It was part of the Psalm series, SOM,
Mhm.
right?
Uh-huh.
Psalm 3.
Okay.
And they had these, heavyweights in the wine world, okay?
Mhm.
And this one guy is supposed to have this amazing palate.
And
Wow.
he did.
Wow.
Wow. And he nailed this. It was an Australian Pinot Noir, right?
Wow.
Is that right?
Okay.
Something
It
like
wasn't
that?
Australian.
It was,
It was in France somewhere.
Okay.
It was something. Oh, that's right. Coda Rody. Coat Rody. That's where it was from. And he nailed it exactly. And he nailed the year.
That's
it was
impressive.
like 95. This was shot in 2017. So
excuse me, what block is what I would have said next? Let's test you out
We
here.
probably would have known.
Wow.
That's right. We have said this a number of times on this podcast. Sam Lang, who was the sommelier up at Beverly's for many years, now has Lola's in downtown Coeur d'Alene. We had him on for a Lola Wine Lounge.
Not Lola, is it?
Oh, Lola Wine Lounge.
Okay.
My bad.
No, you can't add the S on there.
My bad.
No, you can't add the
Well,
S
hey,
on there.
It's like Nordstrom's is not Nordstrom's.
Yeah.
It's Nordstrom.
Yes, that's
we
very
did
true.
we did a episode, a show, and he kept saying Rosemary's Winery. I'm like, no, it's just Rosemary Manor.
Or they add on the winery at the end.
Yeah,
Nope,
Rosemary
just
Manor Winery.
Rosemary Manor.
It's just Rosemary Manor.
That's funny. Hopefully I said it right. Rosemary Manor.
Yes, you did. Yes, you
Speaking
did.
Speaking of
Rosemary
Rosemary Manor, can you tell us a
I
little
wanted
bit
to finish
about
my
it?
story.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I don't
finish
get
your
you.
story.
It's a
You have
quick
to wrap
one.
it up.
I will wrap it up. We can go to a break, and when people come back, they'll be wanting to hear the end of it, but we're not going to.
Yeah.
The episode is about Zinfandels.
Okay.
Okay.
And so he brought some Zinfandels, some really nice Zins. And we had opened a
Oh,
Pinot
you're
Noir
talking
from
about-
Shug.
Uh-huh.
I think it was Shug. I want to say, well, anyway, Pinot from Shug. And it came, I brought in a brown bag, and I wanted him to watch him taste through it.
Wow.
And he's like, interesting. I'm not really getting Zin on this. He said, it tastes like a Pinot. And I'm thinking somewhere like Russian River Valley. And I'm like, dude.
Wow.
Because I would have taken all of that out if he didn't get it. But he just,
Wow.
so these guys know their
Oh
stuff.
yeah,
Amazing.
it's amazing.
It is amazing. Anyway, speaking of Grandma Rosemary.
Wonderful lady, by the way.
Absolutely.
Still living.
Still alive. 93.
93 in September.
93 in September. Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
Well,
So yeah, she is kind of a staple from Post Falls, really. So my family's been in Post Falls since the 1800s, so late early 1900s. My great grandfather came over as an apple tree salesman. So a lot of history here. So Grandma Rosemary, she was actually a part of starting the Post Falls days, so the festival in Post Falls. So in the beginning, it was just a bunch of people getting together with their farm animals and having a petting zoo, popping for apples and things like that. So she also started the parks and recreation. It was called Parks. It was just, she got together all the kids to do baseball games.
Wow.
And kind of
nice.
took that off. She stepped aside because she said she didn't know anything about baseball.
No idea.
So she saw it was growing a little bit bigger than what she could handle. So she turned it over to someone that knew something about baseball. But yeah, so when she bought this property and they built the house, this is where I have all my memories from. And so when I was able to purchase the property, we decided to start this winery. And originally it was going to be fruit wines. But as we started doing some research and development, a lot of drinking of wines.
We called it research and development.
Hey,
so-
I knew what you were talking about.
Yes,
I did a lot of R&D in the wine industry.
Yes.
So we really fell in love with the grape varietal aside from the fruit.
Yes.
Because the grape varietal starts with the vine. With fruit wines, you can buy fruit from anywhere. You make the wine, you sweeten it. I love fruit wines. One of my favorite wines is a rhubarb wine, which is funny because that's actually a vegetable wine. So, anyways,
To get technical on your viewers and
literally
listeners
because
here.
there is
Yeah.
fruits will have pits and vegetables have seeds. Is
Yeah.
there any exception to that?
I think there is
About that.
one, but I can't remember.
I
what
think
it
there's a
is.
few, but I mean, off the top of my head, I can't think of it now.
Because
But-
tomato would technically be a
Yeah,
fruit.
yes,
yeah,
yes.
technically, yeah.
Maybe
So,
that's
yeah.
why Lucy won't eat it. So
But yeah.
I wanted to ask you, because you mentioned Post Falls Days.
Mhm.
Is it still called that? I did a little research, and all I
think-
found
is
was
it called-
Post Falls Festival.
No,
think it's
it's the
called
Post Falls Festival. But back
Yeah.
when we were
Okay.
kids and even
Got it.
youth graduating high school and things like it was Post Falls Days. It was called Post Falls Days. And so that was a full weekend. It's not changed from that. It's still a full weekend, but they've changed it to the Post
name,
Falls
yeah.
Festival, I believe.
July
I don't know if it was-
11,
It's the first
gosh.
weekend.
12, 13, and 14 this year.
I think
Okay,
that's what it is.
Because on
Yep.
the 13th, there'll be a little parade that goes down
Yes.
to Saltese, and Shelley will be in the blazing
Oh
that's
my
cool.
gosh, how
Yeah.
fun.
That's awesome.
We're
I
there
love
every
that.
year. Yeah.
I love that.
So if
do you
you-
do the Coeur d'Alene? Do you do the 4th of July Coeur d'Alene?
We do.
That is super cool. I love that.
Yeah, I
That's
think
awesome.
Post Falls you haven't missed for a long time. Coeur d'Alene never gets missed. Sometimes Hayden in and out, but
Sure.
if you guys are anybody at the Post Falls Parade on the 13th
we'll
of
cheer
July,
you on.
give the divas a shout out.
We
Throw
will.
some candy at me. Actually,
No, no.
back at you.
Yeah. Wait, can they throw candy?
Oh, in
anymore?
Post Falls,
Oh,
yes.
Post Falls,
Not
they can.
Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
true.
constantly, because I'm a diva dude.
I
That's
love
right.
it. A
I'm
diva
constantly
dude.
kicking the candy because these ladies
We'll dance on
trip.
top and fall.
Well, they'll trip over
Yes,
anything.
yes.
So
See, Post Falls is all about just being able to let people be people. See, Coeur d'Alene has all those restrictions. You can't drink on the
Those
street.
rules,
You
yeah.
can't throw candy.
can't drink on the street.
Yeah.
By the way, says the one that opened a non-labeled winery.
Yeah, right here.
Could be that in
This
Coeur
is-
d'Alene.
We
This
tried
is
to hide it
tasting.
behind
Yeah,
the
it's a
other
tasting,
bottles.
that's
This is a tasting.
Yeah, yeah.
We
This is going to
happen
go on
to
waste and tasting.
bring wine on the sidewalks during those, even though we're not supposed to. We are very restrained and refrained.
I was going to say, what is it? Ask for forgiveness later,
Exactly.
better than permission. I mean, we don't live by
Absolutely.
that rule.
No,
I'm just,
sure you
I've only
don't.
heard of that. I've only heard of that.
We should take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll get to wine number 2, and we'll hear a little bit more about Grandma Rosemary and how this all evolved.
Yes.
Great.
Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays, where Shelley, we will get her to bring us back in, but not quite yet. We are here with Keelan and Cara. I did a different that time. Dickson with Rosemary Manor.
Yes. No winery.
Rosemary Manor.
Rosemary Manor.
It's
Rosemary
so hard,
Manor.
though, isn't
It's a
it?
statement.
It
It's
is
a
It
statement.
is a statement,
Yes.
as it should be.
Yes.
We during the break, we're talking about glasses. Shelley reminds everyone we are not wine snobs, but wine glass snobs. And we started talking about Riedel. Are these Riedels here?
No.
Oh, they're not. So these are very nice
They're
glasses.
beautiful. Yeah.
Thank
We are fans of Andrea Robinson's The One Wine Glass. So
Okay.
she makes, she's a master sommelier. And she makes the one red and the one white.
Okay.
And we use the one
So
red.
one glass for white, one different, almost the very same, but a little bigger
Just-
for red.
Okay.
Okay.
And the white one is really good for any sparkling wine too.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it ends up being about $30 from
And they're
Amazon for a pair.
similarly shaped
Okay.
to
Not
this,
terrible?
maybe a
No.
little more.
Yeah, it's just a little bit more Pinot Noir-ish, but
Okay.
she, as a master sommelier, went through all of the tasting and
Wow.
testing, the R&D in her own
Yeah.
world,
Sure.
and came up with the shape. And you know what? We're fine with that rather than buying 20 different
I
Riedel
can't.
glasses.
Right. That's just
It's
not
just
our.
dumb.
I drink mine out of a mason jar. Sometimes
Yeah,
it doesn't even
we-
leave the
It's
bottle.
glass.
As long as
Very
it's
You
not
know,
Idaho
a
in that
solo
way.
cup, we're good.
Yes. No solo cups.
Yeah.
I'll avoid
And no
the
tiny
solo
ones
cups.
where it fills right to the top. And you're
Yeah,
like,
you're in a restaurant and they bring you that little, basically a wine
Oh,
shot
yeah.
glass, and
Yes.
you fill it all the way up. And I'm
Yes.
like, what am I supposed to do with this? You have a bigger
Do you have a
glass.
straw? Can I get a straw, please?
I do like the stem glasses
Yes.
for dinner so I don't see my fingerprints. Now,
They're-
if we're sitting by the pool or something, then the stemless are okay. But
Yeah,
when you're at a nice dinner, like
another-
separate, you warm up your whites.
yeah,
Correct.
like in a
Correct.
restaurant, they will bring stemless
Mhm.
yeah,
and a white, like a Chardonnay and stemless.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yep.
it's-
Take it back.
it's gonna be warm by the time you're done with it.
yeah. Well, maybe not me,
But
but
that's all
most
right.
people. Just saying.
So now we have a little suitcase where we carry our own wine glass.
Oh my!
Oh
Oh,
my
you're
God.
those people. I love it. So you don't come in.
You're-
You don't need any kind of bottle service. You just.
No.
I have a glass service, please, because these are
They're
the
from
glasses.
Fly with Wine. So
Oh
they
my
created it like it's like a
Okay,
secret
yeah, I've seen that
agent
they had
case.
for the wine bottles
That's
too.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had Ron Sharman on, probably a month and a half ago,
Mhm.
2 months ago, after seeing him on Shark Tank
Wow.
and reaching out. And we bought the little wine a glass case. It holds 2 glasses. It travels so well.
Does it?
Okay.
That's
I mean,
cool
literally
to
throw it in
know.
the back
That's
seat.
great.
And we
You're
brought
fine,
it to a
okay.
hotel. And we have to talk about, by the way, if we're going to bring that to LA. We brought it to the hotel. I'm checking in, and he's like, "What's in the attaché case? What do you think's in it?" He says,
This is
$1
my
million. I'm like,
007
no, better.
case. Oh my
Because it's not a
gosh.
gun, is it?
No, it's not a guy.
Oh
It's
my gosh.
wine glasses. We are going to move on to wine number 2,
Yes.
and then hear a little bit more about Grandma Rosemary, which is what this whole manor is named after.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. Okay, so I'll start with the wine because this actually has a completely separate story.
Oh, good.
Other than the name involving rosemary, but this is a completely separate story.
Okay.
So this white blend, we have called it the Caveman white blend, and it actually has a special graphic down here that resembles my stepdad. So we have vines not only growing in our backyard, but also down on the prairie at my mother and at my late stepfather's place. And he put those vines in. He was so meticulous. Oh my goodness. You put him on a project and you are getting the top of the line, best of the best. So anyways, in this white blend has that varietal that he grew. Unfortunately, he passed suddenly a few years ago. And so he wasn't able to try this wine. But a beautiful thing about it as well, he didn't know at the time planning when we were bottling this. It's just kind of whenever the wine's ready, we let the wine tell us when it's going to be bottled.
Probably should.
Yes. Yeah. And so it happened to actually be, we woke up that morning and I realized, we're bottling today. And it was his anniversary of his death. And it was just such a little cool ode though. It did bring sadness. We were bottling here on the bottling line and he would have been on the bottling line with us as he was. And and it was just cool. It was a very full circle moment that then we just said, you know what? We're naming this wine after him.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great moment.
Yes.
Also 23?
Oh,
22?
Goodness sakes. Yes.
This
I believe
is
so.
Be 23. Yeah.
Yes,
right.
I believe so.
I had to think for a second.
Yeah.
When I think, you can see the smoke come out of my ears.
The light bulbs actually ding.
I've muted those for the episode.
Yeah. Well, we have yet to sell this actually. So this
Correct.
is actually you guys will be the first to try this one as well. We're selling our other white blend first, and then we'll move on to this guy here.
Well, I have some ideas about this before I find out what the blend is, but hashtag cheersing.
Yeah, salute. Cheers.
Oh,
I know, I'm almost like, I hate clinking them because I'm just expecting the glass to shatter at that point. Mason jars don't do that, but glasses,
I like the mason jars.
Mm-hmm.
Is there Semillon in this?
No.
I give up.
Come on, keep going. Come on. You only got a few more varietals to go.
A few more.
Yeah.
So
the
higher of acidity in this is most likely from the younger grapes that we used on the prairie. So that's where you're getting that little bit higher acidity from that younger grape. This is actually a Chardonnay, an Alvarino, and Frontenac Gris.
Yeah.
And a what grape?
Frontenac Gris.
Frontenac.
Which is a Minnesota hybrid from the University of Minnesota. They produced it, yeah. So we have to be very strategic about the vines that we plant. They have to be very hardy in the winter.
Yes.
So I try to find something that's going to be able to withstand, have a tolerance of -30 in dormancy. So which there's not very many varietals out there that can do that.
The pickings are a little slim.
But the good thing about that though
is
is just like how Oregon found the Pinot Noir and Napa Valley with the Cabernet. Hopefully we are able to plant something up here that is unknown, and we can start producing something right out of Post Falls that's going to be well known.
Pioneers.
Yeah, so I'm an origins person. I love the beginning of things. I want to be even though I'm the third generation to make wine in my family on this property. Right. I'm the first generation to have it commercially, and then I'll also as I pass down this legacy, it'll be a generational legacy. Hopefully, my kids, I can say that. Well, maybe I won't say because I might be passed away, but I'll be the first generation to plant the grapes and create a wine industry.
So this has got a tolerance of down to -30. -30. Yeah. What about the heat?
So for the heat issue, I haven't really worried about that too much. Okay. The temperatures that we've seen here will have maybe a week or two in the triple digits. Yeah. So for the most part, and that heat comes before veraison anyways. Okay. It seems like most of our heat days are going to be in June. So veraison is going to be at the end of July or August. The heat's in July. Sorry. Yeah. So then our veraison is going to be taking place in August.
And veraisons is your foliage?
No, the veraison is when the grape actually starts to ripen.
Okay, got it. Yeah.
So when you see that color change in the grape, that's when it's going through. And honestly, that's when the grape is the most susceptible to smoke taint and other types of influences from ambient.
Thinner skin, things like that.
Yeah, and well, it's just going through that ripening process.
Right.
So it's I don't know why exactly. I'm actually not enologist. Enologist. I'm not an enologist per se. I'm more in the wine industry, the wine making side of stuff.
And as those grapes are ripening, it needs the protection from the canopy, which is fully developed at that point.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, this is really lovely.
This is fantastic. What is the residual sugar on this? Do you know?
So I want to say this is like a 0.3.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's dry.
It is dry.
Yep.
But again, like some of these wines are so floral that it seems sweet.
Yes.
But it's not.
There's a perception there, but it's technically not. It's a dry wine.
It's my favorite, yeah.
A lot of that is also because we have such small batches, and I'm very careful with temperature control. I don't like to use a whole lot of the sulfates, so I'm really temperature control and sanitation is able to do that. So you'll get some leftover polysaccharides. I don't over bentonite. I do bench trials to make sure that I can use the least amount of fining bentonite as I can to get the clarity from it. So that also helps leave some of those nicer aromatic compounds in there, maybe have some nanoproteins and polysaccharides that give you this perception of sweetness, but it's actually a dry wine. So
it seems like that should have been our wine word of the week is polysaccharide.
Now we have a new one.
There you go. You're gonna see that's gonna be a new description. I think there's some polysaccharides left over in this one, and you're gonna sound so knowledable.
Oh, we can get into anthocyanins with the red grape and everything.
Just keep talking, because every time when I'm editing, I'm like, I gotta look up the spelling of this. As it is, I have to look up the spelling of Frontenac.
Frontenac.
Frontenac. I can't see my
NAC.
Frontenac.
Got it.
Yep.
I
think off the cuff. Oh gosh, test me on that.
I
one.
didn't. I can't read my own writing. I had C down.
Yeah. Okay.
I saw L.
I was like Frontenac. Oh, like the lobe. Okay. Right. Yeah. That one.
Frontenac lobe. No.
Yeah. It's something like that. Right.
There we go.
Yeah.
So, it's your grandmother, Grandma Rosemary, brings you little gifts from time to time, like poultry. Sorts.
That was the
a lot of feathers.
Strangest of the one.
A lot of feathers.
You want to? You're much better at telling.
Oh
the story.
gosh,
she was the one who was actually here. She called me up. So guess what Grandma brought over?
She loves
this
lady, and I'm going to start with a little story about Rosemary. So back in the day, I don't know exact day as far as the year, but women would not be able to own their own businesses, apply for business licenses or land. They couldn't purchase their own real estate. So she would.
I'm sorry. I still roll my eyes.
Did not play by the rules.
Good for her.
Hopefully there's no double jeopardy here.
No, I don't think so. I think we're beyond
we're past that, right? Yeah. But she would actually go and she would get she'd go and get the papers from the bank and bring them up to Reed, her husband, and go sign this. And he was busy with his ham radio and his whiskey and his cigarettes and just kind of talking to his buddies. And he would just sign, okay, Rosemary. And then she would say on a Sunday, okay, let's go for a drive. And she'd take him for a drive and go, we own that. You bought this. We are doing this. And he'd go, damn it, Rosemary. She was so tenacious and she would not let anything stop her. Mm-hmm. So fast forward a bit, we're here on the property, we're living here, and she comes by. She would love to just come by, and she's always welcome. I just say, don't look at the weeds, please. I'm trying to get to them. She would have this place so beautifully groomed. It was unreal. But she comes up and out pops this box, and I hear some sounds coming from the box. And she goes, I brought you 3 turkeys. I figured, Reed, our son, this is your 4-H project. And at the time, we're already raising hogs for 4-H. And we're like, where are we going to? We know nothing about turkeys. We had chickens. And so we just said, okay, this is going to be a sink or swim situation. And we ended up loving it. She did it a second year. And by the 3rd year in a row, we were onto her tricks. So we were ready. We were prepared. So we now we've always kept a turkey, 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. We've now gone up the ladder a little bit, and we've bought some pretty fancy turkeys. They're Keelan's turkeys. He loves them.
Isn't that pronounced fancy?
Fancy.
Well, I got tired
with the swirl of the glass. When we go out and see our turkeys, it's a swirl of the glass, and we have introduced our fancy turkeys. But they're amazing. We love them. We love our poultry.
I got tired of the wild turkeys that are outside the fence, looking just like the turkey that I had inside the fence. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to separate them. But now you see the wild turkeys come up and want to fight our fancy
Oh.
turkeys.
Yeah, and then they'll
be at the
communicate.
fence. Yeah,
Yep.
it's kind of fun.
Yep.
We have in our neighborhood probably 2 different flocks or families of turkey
Sure.
in there, anywhere from 8 to 12 of them per.
Wow.
Yeah, and so we're going for a walk and they're all around.
They're beautiful. And the calls that they make, our
Yeah.
neighbor literally will feed them. They absolutely love them. They've built a little bit of a shelter for them if they need to. I mean,
Get out of
they
the weather.
love the wild turkeys and they take care of them.
What
They've
do they
named
eat?
them.
They've named them.
To be honest, a game feed. There's a game feed that you can
for
get.
us, yeah, we feed them a game feed.
Yeah, I think he feeds them other things because in the wild to mimic
Sure.
more of what they're,
Yeah.
foraging for. But the turkeys are well liked as well as our chickens. So yeah,
This is
Yeah.
Poultry 101.
we are learning so much here.
Yeah.
Social media, poultry.
So, I mean, that's why we want to say Rosemary Manor, because we never know where it might take us.
Yeah.
No,
We could be
that's
turkey
actually really very
farmers.
smart.
She doesn't show up with the zebra.
This way
Yeah,
you
oh
don't
gosh,
have to
could you
rebrand
Yeah.
and then rebrand
No.
again and then rebrand again because
Yep.
many of these wineries we're visiting these days have had to have a spin-off into a distillery
Oh,
because of certain things that have happened.
Sure.
You know,
Sure.
one of the things I really like that I saw on your side is your tagline, family started, which seems appropriate,
Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
family owned,
Yes.
also
Yeah.
appropriate and true, and family driven.
yeah.
And that's, taglines need to be simple. Another
Mhm.
business-esque,
Yes.
make it simple and easy to remember
Yeah.
and something you can put in a hashtag on social and things like that.
Can't forget the hashtags.
No, I mean,
No.
you don't own them, but you can use them.
Yes, that's true.
So yeah, I love that. The
Thank
fact
you.
that you guys are still carrying on this family tradition. It's very cool.
Yeah, and the first two are pretty straightforward, right? And the last one, the family driven. What that means for us is we want to put our family first in this business. We want our kids to want to be involved with this business after we are gone. We don't want to see this fall apart because we didn't put them first when we were
Yeah,
running the
that's
business.
good.
So
Mhm.
what that looks like for us is we don't have a tasting room that's open 100% of the time because we know the amount of time that it would take from us and from our kids. So the way that we have decided to go about our business model is being involved with the community and having a trailer that we can take to these events. It can be very strategic on whether or not we have time to be able to
Right.
go out there and tell
Whether
the
to say
story.
yay or nay.
Yeah, we can say yay or nay, and we can make sure that we put our family first, and we can do this slow business thing. We're not chasing a dollar. We're not trying to make sure that this is profitable. We don't want to get in a position where we're going to have to sacrifice our family
Yeah.
in order to keep
Right.
the business afloat. So the way that we want to go about it is just making sure that our kids can continue this legacy. And we're all about legacy, generational legacy. We're super supportive of the Historical Society, those types of things.
Yeah. Here in
So
Post Falls.
that's what that family driven means. And so when people read that, I hope that they can understand that, yeah, we might not be the conventional winery that you might think,
Yeah.
that you can just go try our wines whenever, but we want to make sure that we put our family first.
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
can purchase your wines off your website.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how many cases are you making annually right now? I'm guessing it's growing every year, but
It is growing every year. So what we have decided to do in order to make sure that we're utilizing the production area fully is we'll do every other year. So you'll see that we have a 2021 or a 2020 wines, and then we have a 2022 wines. And we did a blend that was in 2021. So we probably won't make wine this year. We might focus on doing some ciders from the property, but then we'll grip grapes again in 2020.
I mean, but then again, you never know because if someone calls us and says, "Hey, we have grapes," someone didn't follow through on their contract.
That's
That has happened to us before too, and we're like, "Okay, good
'cause
deal.
you're
Let's do it."
getting These grapes for probably $0.25 on the dollar at that point, in a sense.
so when they
right?
call
Yeah.
you,
Oh, yeah.
you get a much better price for
Oh,
sure.
I would
And
imagine.
we're super flexible. We
Yeah.
our distribution list is very small, and the people that are purchasing our wines, they know that we're going to be consistent in our products, so
Yeah.
they're buying it because they understand our winemaking processes. So
Do you have a wine club?
we don't.
You're
No.
reading
We
my
have
mind.
Yes.
talked about getting that going. So
Yes, not
that would
yet.
be the next thing. We have plenty of varietals to do that.
We were waiting for the inventory to be there. I mean,
Sure.
in our first year coming out, it was a 19 Cabernet.
Okay.
It was the only varietal that had come out about 2020, November of 2020. Great year, by the way. But it was just something that we thought, you know what?
Year.
We don't want to come out of the
Means nothing to me.
gate.
I
I know.
2020 was just fine.
Same here. We
Yeah,
just hibernated and it was wonderful. But
It helps
no.
when you work from home.
Yes,
it was
very
nothing
true.
was different.
very true.
Yeah,
very
that's true. We
It
worked
was maybe 3 weeks that we saw a sign entering in Coeur d'Alene. You had to wear a mask.
That's true.
And-
Us, Coeur
and
d'Alene,
no, hardly everybody.
North
Yeah,
Idaho.
yeah,
We were the redheaded
no, we-
stepchildren. We said, you are not going to tell us what to do and how to do it.
No.
We are going to live our lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, we
And
want to wait.
Washington loved it.
Yeah.
They came over all the
Yeah,
time.
true.
They came over.
I'm telling you.
I
We
still
can
see their
breathe over
license
here.
plates. I still see their license plates
I
all
know.
over here. But no, we wanted to wait for the inventory to be there. We wanted to wait and say, okay, now we have enough to come out where it's, whether it's going to be semi-annually or whatever or per quarter, whatever that's going to look like.
Mhm.
And then the idea would be to also team up with other wineries
Yeah.
around here.
Yeah.
Team up with Coeur d'Alene cellars, team up with Ponderay. I'm thinking of a few that have no longer, but really, truly get people to know the wine industry
Yeah.
here
Yeah.
in North Idaho. So the idea will eventually be to start a wine club
Yeah.
and
That's
big
actually our
plans
next
and
step,
big ideas with that as well of utilizing the property somehow,
Yeah.
of racking up a point. I don't know. There's so many ideas, right?
Oh,
They
there's.
say it's like marketing. It's like throwing spaghetti on the wall. You just see what sticks. And
Yeah, and then you
so
go with
She's
that.
great
Yeah,
with
and you
the
go with
ideas,
that.
and then she comes to me. I was like, hey, I need to
Can you
implement this.
use these ideas,
Oh
please?
my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm the idea
Again.
machine implementer, not so
I'm
much.
kind of thinking that's very similar to our house.
Yeah.
It's so funny. We were in Sandpoint
Great
many
minds
years
think
ago.
alike. Great minds think alike.
And we walked down this long stairwell at this one place in Sandpoint, and we get to the bottom, and they had this huge art piece on the wall. It's basically a
Wow.
frame with glass and full of corks.
Wow.
really big.
And
Very
she's like,
cool.
God, I love that. Can you make that?
That is so cool. I
And-
love that.
Yes.
Yes,
it wasn't
honey.
So
that
now,
Yes, honey.
Oh,
yes, honey.
Look,
Yeah.
the
now
only
it's a
time.
game, so
That's
people have to toss.
Yeah,
That's
they sign
so
the cork.
fun.
They sign the
Yes.
cork, and then because it's got an opening in the top.
How fun.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
It-
awesome.
It is a lot of fun. It's
I love that.
there's one thing that I didn't say yes to, and that was the alpacas.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
come on.
So she didn't.
Gotta
She
have
didn't
the
let me get the
alpacas.
emus.
Oh, with the emu oil. I'm like, no, you can't eat it. I
And
know it's
alpaca
terrible, but,
spit,
you know.
so I can understand. why.
Yeah, well,
and
not
plus,
only is
there's-
spit,
they seem like a Ponzi scheme.
it is a Ponzi scheme. It is. It keeps moving
You
forward.
get the alpaca pregnant, and then the idea is you sell the rest, and you're like, wait.
No,
This
yeah.
can't be right here. How
Yeah,
is this worth
I'm
it?
very happy I didn't get thrown out of the house for saying no there, but yeah,
That's awesome.
we have to pick and choose.
The
They're
alpacas.
cute. They have cute eyes, but
They have
So
cute
what's the
eyes.
difference-
Yeah,
so
I
an
see why now you
alpaca
have
and a
Phil.
llama?
I like it. Yeah.
They are different, and
Are
I'm
they?
not exactly sure what
Okay.
the difference is. A llama
Alpaca?
and a-
oh yeah, they are different.
Okay.
Yes.
They both spit. You know,
Okay.
they're both cute.
And they
No.
They're really cute.
They
The
both have
llama-
the teeth at the bottom.
Well, yeah, but
Similar.
the alpacas have big eyes.
Oh, okay.
The
Oh,
littler
okay.
kind of turned up nose face.
I'm sure
Okay.
there would be somebody to correct us wildly right now and
Yeah,
say,
right.
no, the
Leave it in the
difference
comment
is
section,
this.
please.
Yeah.
Leave it in the comment section. Exactly.
Yeah, really.
Alpaca would work great down in Whoville with that little turn.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. In
It does
Whoville.
look like that.
Let's take one more break, and when we come back, we're going to we have a charity sip this week.
We do.
You guys know who it is?
Charity
Oh.
sip.
Oh yeah.
No.
So when we come back,
Okay.
who dinged? Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays. You will get the next one. I saw you ready to go. We're with Cara and Keelan Dickson with Rosemary Manor, and we have tasted through two wines already. The 2023 Alvarihno, which you will be able to purchase in about a month, 5 weeks, something like that, and the Caveman White Blend, also 2023. We are now in to a blush.
Yeah.
And
That's a
I
beautiful
really
color.
need to
Thank you.
ask the experts the difference between a rosé, a blush, and we just had last week.
Rosé, a dry rosé, a blush.
Well, we know the difference between a sweet
And a
rosé and a
white
dry
one.
rosé, but White Zinfandel's got a horrible reputation, justified.
Sure.
But we had a white Merlot on last week from Leoness
Really?
down in Temecula. And it caught me off guard on how sweet it was. But it got us thinking, really, what is the difference between all three? We're going to toast this up because we have to really drink it. Hashtag cheersing.
Cheers. Gosh, that's a good sound.
It's a fantastic sound. Shelley is avoiding my glass.
It's a fantastic
What the
sound.
hell, Shelley?
What the hell?
So this one here is going to be a mix between our Viognier and our Cabernet. And then when I say mix, that's why we call it a blush.
Okay.
So a blush is going to be a mixture between a red wine and a white wine. And then a rosé is coming from a red grape.
Oh, this is very good.
Yeah, this is going to be very...
It's fantastic by a body of water. I'm just putting it out there.
It is.
Any body of water, in fact, it goes down real easy. Sometimes a little too easy. In the boat, by the pool, lake, whatever you'd like. It's fantastic.
I believe that.
So this one is
Using
going
the
to taste...
Viognier.
Yes, the Viognier. So
Cabernet Viognier. Okay.
And the Cabernet. So the reason... This one actually, you'll probably feel like it's sweet, right? And
I'm not getting a lot of sweetness.
you're not? Okay.
No,
I mean,
okay.
you get that other sweetness you're talking about.
but it also coats my tongue
Yes.
all the way back on the
and
side.
it's longer in
Oh,
length.
yeah.
Yes.
It's
very-
really good.
Yes.
From the Viognier, so that's where that's coming from, yeah.
I love it.
What was that term? That
Fruit weight.
fruit weight.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've
So
heard
Molly Duker has basically patented a different kind of model on how they make their wines. Okay. And it's all about the fruit weight on how it feels.
How far back
Okay.
it goes.
Yeah. And they have a whole explanation on how they do this. Their Velvet Glove, which is over $200 a bottle, it has to have at least 95% fruit weight or they won't make it.
Wow.
And so the one we had happened to be a 96% fruit weight, and it was just a lot of fun. And so that feeling, like we talk about tannins all the time, that's really easy to explain. Acid's hard for me to explain, but this you can. I'm guessing almost anybody who tastes this wine, when you say, do you feel that little? It's almost like effervescent working its way back on your tongue
and continuing down the throat.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's just
Yep.
fantastic. Now,
Thank you.
there are Syrahs out there that use a little Viognier. Would they be considered a blush?
It depends. Well, it
Percentage.
depends.
I mean, we're
Maybe.
talking 1 or 2%.
Percentage,
Yeah.
I think, would determine
Legally,
that.
no.
Yeah.
So there is, depending on if you're going to put the appellation on there or how you're going to label the bottle determines how much wine you can actually blend into it and be able to call it a varietal. So our 2019 is a perfect example. It's a 100% Cabernet. There's nothing blended into it. And
No
we've had
Merlot.
so many people tell us how great it is to get a Cabernet who know what a true Cabernet is.
Right. Let the fruit talk.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is a Cabernet because
Yeah.
there's so many Cabernets out there that have been blended with darker reds because it's really not the darkest
Cocoa
red.
nibs, or you can hear some
You can hear a lot of
wild
different
things that
but
they'll do to
Okay.
I know.
elevate
to elevate it.
that
I
Cabernet.
And those are the people that are making wine for the wrong reasons.
You're right,
Correct.
right.
And you know,
Well, wait. They may be just
Well,
making it to taste good.
I-
Per
I-
their taste. I think that's the one biggest
Yeah.
thing for us is what we want to be known for
Is
is
wine.
really staying true. Two different things. Staying true to the varietal. I would say, I always explain our 2019 Cabernet, which we're not tasting that today, but our 2019 Cabernet, it is the truest cab you will probably taste because the way it was aged, the way it was produced, there's nothing added. We wanted to understand the baseline of this widely popular and produced varietal. We wanted nothing to come in between
Sure.
and to say, okay, what does a true cab taste like? Now we can build on it and say, what do we want our Cabernet to taste like? And I think that's the double-edged sword, right? You stay true to the varietal, but then you do a spin-off and you take the way that someone would follow maybe your wines and say, I love Rosemary Manor wines
Right.
because of this and its consistency.
I mean, you can call anything that's 75% Cabernet Sauvignon and 15% Merlot and 10% Cab Franc, and it's Cabernet Sauvignon.
Oh,
but it's a
gosh.
blend, right?
But it's a blend.
It's a blend.
Right.
I would say legally, technically, right?
Right.
Legally,
But
yes,
that's what I
then
love.
Technically,
When you see 100% on there, then you
Yes.
know that
Then you
it
know.
takes all the
Yes.
guessing out, because you don't
yes.
on a one that's got 75 or 80% cab that's been helped by other varietals. They don't have to put what's on.
Yep,
They-
correct.
because-
if
and-
it's under a certain percentage,
Right,
they
and-
don't.
But it's like, I don't know why a winery wouldn't do that anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
And like,
Put
the
the
wineries that
100%
are
on there,
putting
yeah.
all the info on as much as possible. There's some that got these fancy little, graphs that show the
Mhm.
sweetness and
Frechette.
all of that is just,
Frechette has that, like,
Yeah.
bars.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's per each consumer, each drinker. I know some of the drinkers that are like, Cara, just pour it in the glass and let me
For
drink it. I
sure.
don't care.
For
And then you
sure.
have the people that come up and they want to ask these really in-depth questions and they want to try to understand.
Yeah.
So I think there's so much value in both, which is why
Mhm.
for us, here we're the farmer. And then we get to go and do the
Yeah.
wine snob stuff. I hate even saying wine snob, but the upscale part of wine, and people
Mhm.
love it, and they have such an interest. They go, "Oh, you're in the wine industry? How fancy!" I'm like, 90% of the time, our hands are
That's
dirty,
dirt.
Yeah.
and
People don't get
they
that.
don't understand, and it's wild. We love it. We want to marry the two. We love the both sides of
Mhm.
the people who are just. They know, they talk the talk, they walk the walk, but then the people who have no idea and they're just, let me taste it. What are you picking up? What do you smell? What do you? I love both sides of it.
It's the best.
Yes.
We've mentioned this often. We'll mention it again. Shelley and I have poured at Vintage Spokane and used to be Taste Washington for years.
Okay.
And we do
And the hospice event.
in the hospice event, and it's the whiteout table. So we'd have to learn 15 to 20 different white wines that
Quickly.
are supposed to go with
Wow.
seafood, shellfish, things like this, right? And so we get there and frantically try to get an idea. And then people would come up and I'm like, what would you like? It's like, what's your best? I'm like,
Yeah.
well, let's start with this one.
Yeah.
Is that your best? I don't know.
And
Let's
you're
go
gonna-
through them and
Right.
you tell me.
Right.
When you empower people,
What are you tasting?
exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that.
And there are people,
And then you don't say, no, that's not right.
right.
Yeah. No.
But
To-
there are
no.
people that will do that, people that we know that will basically say, yeah, you don't know what you're talking
This is
about.
what I want. This is what I
Honestly,
want
that's-
you to
That's
taste.
the
Yeah.
No.
unfortunate, the
Yeah.
unfortunate
Yeah.
side about that is
Pretentious,
you actually
yeah.
start to steer people away
Exactly.
from wines.
Correct.
And if you want a flourishing wine industry, you have to
Correct.
encourage people to drink it. Breweries, why are breweries so popular? One, they're easy to go to and drink, and everybody has a good time, and no one's
Right.
saying, "Oh, you're drinking that beer wrong."
Right.
Yes.
You know, no
Is
one.
there a wrong
float
way?
that beer
Is
cap on
there
top of
a
that
wrong
wine.
way to drink a
We
beer?
want people
Yes,
to
if
be interested
it's,
and see that wine is a celebration.
Coors Light.
Yes.
That's the wrong
It
way.
truly is.
Except
Yeah.
when we do pour, if somebody holds their glass out like this, oh, you like beer.
It's so funny.
Oh, that's
I'll
a
say,
good one. Oh, that's
they'll
a good
put their
one.
glass out like this, and I was like, "What's your favorite beer?" And it's like, "Why would you say that?" I'm like, "That's the way you would hold
Mhm.
a glass. You're getting a beer, get the head down, right?"
Oh, my
It's so
goodness.
funny. So
you don't
but
need to worry about this foaming up.
no, not effervescence in it. Although I just get that on the tongue a little bit. It's
Yeah.
really great.
I would pair
Playful.
this with some fresh strawberry. And
Oh,
it's-
yeah.
My
It is
gosh, this would
Desserts.
just
This is a great one for most fruits. Desserts.
tarts. If you're eating any kind of a tart
Mhm.
dessert, oh yeah,
But also oysters.
yes, very true. And see, that's why a lot of people they would say, some winemakers, some people would say, "Oh, you mean a rosé?" No, well, technically, no.
Blush.
It's a blush because of the technique.
Yeah.
But we made this specifically. The reason why it's the certain percentages that it is because of the color.
Yeah.
I
So
wanted
pretty.
this
Color.
particular salmony pink
It's like
Right.
ballet pink.
color.
You're wearing that today.
Yes,
And she actually
I
has
matched.
wine in her glass.
I
It's
matched.
not.
Yes.
So that's right. She may
She's
not
not
see it.
pretending.
Mhm.
But here's the thing: when you're talking about the similarities of this blush and
Mhm.
rosés, rosés got a trend right now. The lighter, it's going really light.
Light,
They're
light,
yeah.
they're staying on the skins
Almost
like
looks
for
clear.
2
Yeah.
or 3
Yes.
hours. Or
It's
something
that.
like that.
It's
yeah.
that just barely
Well,
pink
Yeah, which is
color.
okay. That's
Barely
fantastic.
pink.
But that's not what you're aiming for on this. And so a little color is kind of cool.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yep. I had something and I forgot. It's,
Check your notes. Come
Well,
on,
another
check your
fun
notes.
thing another fun fact is different types of rosés that how you can produce them. You have
Yes.
a Saunier rosé, you have a direct press rosé, or an early press type rosé.
Right.
So those are also techniques that we've used here. We made a dry rosé that was a Saunier rosé from cab grapes,
100%
which
Cabernet.
I love.
Oh my
I love
goodness.
a rosé from a cab.
Yes,
Cabernet.
we will do that again.
Good.
We will do that
For
again.
a small winery like this, we have to do that because we aren't bringing in cheaper red grapes. We're making a cab, and then we have to make our rosé out of the grapes that we have.
Premium red
So
grapes.
it's hard to find a Cabernet rosé. You see lots of Pinot Noir
Yes.
rosés out there.
Cab Franc is out there. Some
Cab
Sangiovese
Yes.
is out there.
Yes.
And Grenache.
The
Yes,
Cabernet
very
ones
true.
has a grapefruit flavor
It's
to
beautiful.
it.
And it's so, I mean, you want to talk about
We're not pouring that.
dry. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Because it's sold out.
Killing me,
It
Small.
was
It's
gone.
so quick.
When
Yeah.
people would come upon it and taste it and try,
They would buy
oh,
cases.
they would buy, I want 4 of these. I want 5.
It's a good problem to have,
Oh my
right?
gosh,
'Cause
it's
you really
fantastic.
don't want to say limit is 6 bottles so that everybody.
It may
you
or
don't
not.
want to say
Yeah,
that.
it may or may not be true that I have a small stash of this dry rosé.
So if you
in
see
our
Cara
base-
getting up to leave, we know where she's going. We won't make.
Yes.
We won't.
Yes.
We won't make her do that.
I
How
may,
many
I may
cases of that?
surprise you and just invite you over one time and pour it in the glass, and I'll let you figure it
Oh
out.
my gosh, that's so cool. I had actually asked Cara if you guys have, and I didn't know this going in,
Mhm.
if you have any, charities or nonprofit organizations that you feel near and dear to, and you gave me like 3 or 4, which is fantastic.
Oh,
The
yes.
one we are going to do today for the Wine Time Fridays Charity Sips, a toast to good deeds,
Come on.
is Safe Harbor, and we like to accentuate this word, anti-human
Yes. Yes.
trafficking.
Yeah.
Our Road Around the Rocks Rotary Club now has a purpose, and it's actually anti-human trafficking.
Wow. I
And
love
we
that.
and Safe Harbor has actually been kind of a semi-controversial thing in our club.
Wow.
I don't know why, but Safe Harbor, they're actually going to be speaking to our club on
Wow.
June 13th.
Angie's
Angie's
coming.
coming,
In the
yeah.
door.
Oh,
I
cool.
love her.
And
Yes.
so if you're in the Coeur d'Alene area and want to come at 4:30 down to Life Public House,
that's
come by and have a glass of wine or a beer or a soft drink and listen to Angie talk. We're going to pepper her with some questions, and because it really is something at our Rotary conference or celebration, whatever they want to call it, Steve. We had a speaker that talked about the whole human trafficking thing, and that the United States is the number one
Yep.
consumer
Yep.
of that, and the fastest growing.
Yep.
And then either of you care to venture a guess on the highest day for human trafficking?
Super Bowl.
Yep, Super Bowl Sunday
That is,
at the Super Bowl City.
Yep.
Yep.
it's just,
The amount of
it
people
blows
that
my
they had to
mind.
bring on board in those
It
cities.
blows my mind.
It's disgusting, and we want to highlight this.
Expose it.
Yep,
Absolutely.
expose it to what it is.
And then
Exactly.
also get people aware of it, because I remember meeting Angie a few years ago. But I mean, this is a newly birthed thing for Angie, this nonprofit, and it's so needed because you wouldn't think people here
In Idaho, yeah.
here in you have
it's
no
everywhere.
idea. It's
Yeah.
everywhere. But the corridor going from Seattle,
Through Spokane.
coming up,
That's right.
hitting those top, states, Montana, the Dakotas, that is a prime.
Yeah.
That's a prime corridor for that to travel and happen. I don't even know if we have time for this, but it was a little story of, we were coming from Montana. We were at a family's house, and kids were young. We were in the car. We had to stop and get gas. And so we stop and get gas. It's all done from our phone. Gosh, what did we do without cell phones, pumping our gas?
Or
anyways,
just finding
or just
point A to point B.
yeah. And so we're getting gas, and the kids had to go to the restroom. And so I get out, and I see just the front end of a car parked right behind our vehicle. And he's asking, it's a brand new Mustang with I dare say, a Middle Eastern looking man, dark hair, in the front seat, younger gal. And normally I'm very aware of that kind of thing, but he's asking my husband for money. He's asking Keelan for money, for gas, and he has Florida plates. And the whole time I'm just like, the kids have to go to the bathroom, bro, move on. Like, I'm just, my kind of.
Yeah, right.
She was
I'm
giving me
like-
the wife look, like, get in the car.
I'm like,
we need
get
to
in the
go.
car. What are you doing? Have
I'm
a
like,
conversation.
hold on a second. There's
Yep.
something new.
And I didn't pick up on it until after, but the gals was very young in the front seat, and her face was down, and it's just
It was one of those
in
moments
hindsight
that slips, and you're like, wow,
It's
I
like-
wish I would have done something.
I wish
Yeah,
I would have
so,
made a call.
I mean-
I wish I would have computed.
So this is how we
But-
learn, right? Because
Yep.
then you think back, next time, right?
Yep.
And so what do? You say, I can get you money, but I have to change some funds.
Right.
Yeah.
911? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you,
Yeah, and it is.
You know,
And knowing how to go about that. What resources who do I call for this? Do I just phone in the
exactly.
like?
Right.
What do I do?
Right.
And so it was a eye-opening situation to realize,
Learning
no.
experience for
This,
sure.
yeah, this isn't just in downtown Los Angeles here, and
No.
there's
Well,
plenty
when
of
you're in
other
Montana,
stories.
it's not even something it's
No.
in your mind.
No.
Well, and here in North Idaho, it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah,
but when you
absolutely.
know that Seattle is such a hub,
Oh
Yeah.
man,
and it also Spokane, you know,
Yes.
and so
yes,
in a nutshell, Safe Harbor is a nonprofit organization providing supportive community and
Mhm.
resources for individuals leaving exploitation and trafficking. That's it in a nutshell.
Mhm.
They are Christian principles, and the mission is to empower survivors to rebuild their lives with dignity and purpose. Look, if you stop one or you
Mhm.
save one,
Yep.
and then that ripples
Absolutely.
out, it's really empowering the potential victims and current victims that are taken out of that
Yes.
Yeah.
literally
Yes.
racket,
Yes.
and getting them back up and educating and getting them
yes.
to live a healthy life in our society. But
Absolutely.
the fact that it's happening is
It's wild.
It's
It
crazy.
is.
It's
in an age
wild.
of like we have now,
Yep.
in this time,
Mhm.
there's so many people that it seems like everyone's against it, right? And you're like, wait a minute, then why is this
happening?
Why is it
Why is it
happening?
still
Exactly.
happening?
So there's definitely needs to be
Mhm.
the awareness. One, two,
And
also is
especially-
oh, go ahead.
So I was just going to say what you said. What do you do about it?
Yes.
What can you
What do I do?
Absolutely.
How do I do-
Because I
what-
wouldn't know either.
Yeah, what do I do?
Well-
This situation looks weird. This looks weird. Me, I have to be very careful. And I think even the Lord was working on my behalf to make me kind of not realize, because I would have immediately been like, is she okay? Are you okay? And it probably just would have not been the best situation.
You never know how to
But-
look
no,
at that
you
in
never
that
know
situation.
because
You
you
never
have
want to do it
kids
on
with
your
you,
own.
and you certainly
Correct.
don't want to endanger things.
Right.
But on the same token, you want.
Oh
so
gosh,
what-
I
how
am
do you
like
do
the
that?
tenacious, like, if I see
She
something
will.
going down, I don't let that slip. But anyways,
She speaks her mind. I know it very well.
So,
hard on the sleeve here. It's pumping. It's bleeding out. Yeah. Yeah.
not to say this is going to happen, but there are
Yes.
talks that we're going to try to have a huge fundraising event and awareness thing 2 weeks before the Super Bowl.
Oh,
Wow.
awesome.
Yeah, in
That'd be
January.
good, yeah.
Are you aware of our event that we host? It
We are
would be
not.
our second annual here on the property. Last year, it was our first. It's called the Grape Escape. And this is specifically for Safe Harbor.
Yeah.
This is an event that benefits
I love
Safe
that.
Harbor. It is a ladies only wine event with pampering services, shopping,
Wine.
all of it,
Go figure.
live music.
Oh.
And we have vendors this year. We're going to have a VIP section.
Nice.
When is
When is it happening?
It is August 8th. It is
Look in the
Thursday,
show
August
notes.
8th.
There's a link in the show notes,
Yes.
right? There will be a
And
link in
I'm
the
sure
show notes.
Angie will
Yeah.
talk about that.
And
The
there's
tickets.
limited tickets.
Yep, there's limited tickets. And really, it's just an opportunity to gather for this type of
Nice.
rally around this cause, but also get some shopping and Botox and wine.
So,
who doesn't want that?
Keelan, I know you will be helping prep for this.
Yeah.
But during the
Yes.
event, what will we be doing?
Well, I'll be
No,
serving.
we, you and I.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
You can come help pour wine.
Parking
Oh, there we go.
parking cars,
Yeah, I'm the
helping
car.
guests out to
Oh,
their car.
I've parked
It's
a
an
lot of
experience.
cars.
I may have
Yeah.
ran a Valley company for 10 years in Seattle. Who knows?
I
Yeah,
love.
awesome.
Okay, Phil. I
have
got
your
your number.
number.
Yeah,
I
you
know
do.
where to contact
There's
you.
no
Yes, you
parking
do.
structure here.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. So that's going to be happening. Look for tickets. It's a fabulous event, and
Love
all
that.
the proceeds,
to
every
Safe
bit of
Harbor.
it, goes to Safe Harbor.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
We're going to take one more break. And when we come back, we have two more
wines. We're going to
go.
shoot through those 2 wines.
Yes, we are. So- So far, so good, guys?
Yeah.
I don't know. How are you? Are you guys good?
Yeah,
Is this
yeah.
what? Because I've heard some. there are podcasts where you hear and the guest is dry and you just see
Yeah,
the
hopefully
host.
we're not dry.
I don't want to be dry. I like dry wine. I don't want to be dry.
Cara, I knew within the first 5 seconds of talking
Yes,
on the phone,
it's very true.
we're going to be okay.
We're gonna be friends.
See, it's a good thing that she's here, right? I mean, if it was just me.
We say that all the time. He says that all the time. You know, the Lord, if he didn't put you, I wouldn't be doing this. I'm not that person. You have this gift. I have this gift, and it marries well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to have that.
Yes, I'm the introvert of the family.
And she's also
That's okay.
soft-spoken.
And my voice leaves every
But
day
you-
about 3:00.
But you need that though.
Yeah.
If you constantly just had, I always tell this to myself, Cara, if you had Cara's running the world, that would probably not be the best world. Even though it would be fantastic on my end, it would probably not be the best. If we just had Cara and Phil's, nobody would get a word in edgewise. You know, nobody.
What the
My
hell is
husband.
that supposed to mean?
I know.
Yeah, wait a minute.
You know,
Hey.
this is still recording.
Cheers, Phil. Cheers, Phil.
I can pull anything.
Yeah, that is being
Speaking of
used.
poultry, for the feather flock together. What is that saying? I
When a
forget.
feather flock.
Yeah.
Birds of a feather flock
Yeah.
together.
When a feather flocks together.
I don't know.
That'd
That'd
Something
be
like
a
that.
very strange sight to see when a feather flocks together.
Anybody want to rinse? I'm
There's
just
no
want to
bird,
check
we just
before.
rinse.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool. Perfect.
While you were talking, you did the
We're
rest.
definitely doing the Syrah first, and then we'll go. Ooh, wait, the Syrah
No,
first, and
I
then
would
the
do-
red.
I would do the red, and we'd finish with the.
Are you sure? Single? Okay.
Single variable, yeah.
I have not
Oh, damn it.
tasted the
I forgot
Syrah
the
since
label.
it's.
Oh no, we'll do that too.
Okay.
By the way, anything that you might say that you don't like, just tell me.
No, I think we're good so far.
You
I
want to talk
forgot
about transparency? That's something I've learned earlier on in age. Don't say anything you're not willing to
Yeah, because
have
then you have to
recorded.
remember what you freaking lied about.
No,
Yeah,
no,
so-
there's no. I would say for us, that's honestly a family value.
Good.
Don't even think anything you're not willing to say out loud,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it just doesn't breed well, right? It's gonna eventually come out in some form. or
You say
fashion.
breed or breathe?
And
Or
you both of it. Breed and breathe. Breed and breathe. Speaking of which, this is going to be a fabulous one to let.
You want to bring us back in?
Come on, Shelly.
218.
216.
216.
See, that's
You
what-
got it. No, Shelly, come on.
All you have
got
to do
it.
is just take a peek at your little nuts right
Well,
there.
I
This,
did. I-
this one I've got right.
Yeah, I didn't
He
bring my
hasn't said
glasses.
episode 216 every time he's filled
I
us
think you
in.
did.
No, the first one
No.
for sure, but it'd be good to do. Ready?
There you go.
Set?
Welcome back to Wine Time Fridays, episode 216. We are here at Rosemary Manor, tasting through wines and learning a lot about the history.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. Having a good time, too.
Yeah, it's been
Learning
fun.
history and just having a good time.
I'm learning new things too.
Family started, family owned, and family driven.
Yes.
I love it. We have had an Alvarihno Caveman White Blend. We've had the Blush.
Mm.
And now we're moving on to, is this a red blend?
The red blend. Yep.
Gosh, this
Okay,
is a favorite.
This
This
is
is a favorite.
Yeah, this is.
Cab, Malbec, Merlot, Syrah is what I'm getting in
Yes.
those.
Whoa.
That is
No,
true.
I had to have told
He
you. Read that. Come on.
Where did I read it? I read it off here
Not
when I wrote
fair.
it down.
Oh,
That's
man.
good. I was about ready to go. Oh,
Oh.
Where did this guy come from? He wasn't
Look
this
at
smart
him.
a half hour ago.
it's the wine. It makes you smarter.
It does make you
There is
smarter.
some kind of a stat on that. I know it. Okay, so I have
This
a
is
story.
absolutely my favorite.
Yes, I have a story about this. So about a month and a half ago, when it was still 30 degrees in North Idaho,
Or last week.
yeah,
we
or
were in the
last
high,
week.
by the way, high 30s overnight 2 nights ago. Just saying. Do we bring the tomatoes in? I don't know.
come on. But I was making a homemade chili, and I had a glass of this, completely unintentional. I did not pour it. It's what am I feeling this evening, and not necessarily what am I pairing it with. Sometimes I get fancy. Most of the time, it's what do I feel like drinking tonight, and it's mostly this red blend. So I have the red blend sitting there. I taste the chili just kind of see what it's doing. And I take a sip of this red blend, and I am not a fan. I'll start with this. I'm not a fan of black licorice. Never have been. It's
Thank
got to be
you.
red. It's
Ain't
got to be
freaking
red.
red.
Come on.
Red or
Who
purple's
wants
okay,
black
but not
licorice? It's all the
black.
leftover colors
I
and
love black
flavors, and
Thank
I'm
you.
not
It's
into
like
that.
all the colors.
It's like all the colors.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I know you get a little bit of everything.
so I take a sip, and oh my goodness, it was the most decadent, rich taste of a black licorice I've ever
Get the
had.
black
in the
one.
glass.
And it was
Yeah. in the
it
glass.
was unreal in the glass. It was in the glass. The bottle sometimes, take a little
Yeah.
sip, but no, it was in the glass, and it was the very first time I could say that I actually enjoyed a black
Oh, yeah.
licorice.
I don't
And
like
it was
black licorice
phenomenal.
in the glass.
It was phenomenal.
I'm fine with that.
It was phenomenal. Oh, it was delicious.
Phenomenal.
What I really
Yeah.
What I really
Anyways.
like about the blends, and I've mentioned this is an opportunity for the winemaker to produce something that he wants
Exactly.
the wine
Yep.
to taste like.
Yes.
So
Yep. To
it's,
have
it's-
fun.
it's a great opportunity for me to say, this is what I'm shooting for because I blended everything together. And what's fun is that when you taste a single varietal and then you taste the winemaker's blend, you can kind of see how far apart they are.
Sure.
And you know what he's shooting for, or the wine, or she, whoever the winemaker, you know what the winemaker's shooting for because if you've tried their red blend, that's what they're shooting for. So you can see how well they did by drinking the single varietal
Yeah,
afterwards.
that's true. That's true.
So you're like, oh, wow, they really missed the mark on that one for themselves. Or you can be like, wow, they did a good job.
Yeah.
We have 2 red blends sitting in our cellar. One that Shelley
Oh, yeah,
created,
we
and one
made
that I
that. Awesome.
created
Wow.
from North Star and their
Oh,
blending
cool.
experience.
Beautiful.
You got to blend up your own wine,
Yep.
and they bottled it.
Yep.
I
That
love
was in
that.
January
Yeah, they have
when
an
it got minus 15.
It
that
was.
day.
Okay.
What a good thing to do in minus 15 degree weather. Is
Well, it was only minus 10 there.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
only,
Walla Walla
only.
was a heat.
Oh gosh. Okay, I see. The heat settled over there. I got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We were the only ones there.
Wow.
We got really, one-on-one with Jan.
That is so cool.
It was a lot of fun. We were walking out, because that's part of the experience.
Mhm.
You go out in the vineyards and again, it was like minus 8. And
Wow.
it's just,
You dress
How
for it.
fun.
of course.
What's the perfect temperature?
I feel
When
like
you're
once it
dressing.
goes down that far, you're like, it becomes a little numb. You're a little numb to it, so it's fine. And you get a
I'm
little wine in
typically
you.
in shorts. It doesn't matter.
Wow.
I don't think I was that day, but
Oh my
it would have
God.
been fine. You keep
Wow.
your
But
upper
it's a
body
really
warm.
good
Yeah.
experience to
Yeah.
blend your own wine.
As you
Fun.
know, you do this as basically your job now.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is this. Yeah.
But it was really interesting to
Oh
play
yeah,
with
we
that.
also learned about our prejudices because we were
yeah.
like Red Mountain. It's got to be Red Mountain.
One of the
days.
cabs was a Red Mountain.
No, it
Okay.
was the Merlot.
Oh, Merlot. Sorry.
Okay.
And then I tasted the other 3 Merlots, and one was Columbia.
One was Walla Walla.
Walla Walla.
Wow.
Ended up not using the Red Mountain.
Oh,
Which
really?
I thought would be the
And
best.
see, I
So
did,
you
but
go
like
with-
only 5, maybe
Yeah.
8%.
Okay.
Hardly any.
I like
See,
but,
I
the
love-
Columbia Valley.
Well, that's good
love
though.
that.
That means
I
that
love
you
that.
really followed your sensory
Yeah,
instead of
that's
just
true.
staying stuck to what you
Right.
thought you were
Yeah.
going into, your
we
expectation.
would pour these other, because they had 5 barrels that you were pulling from, and you taste
They
through
had
all
no
of them.
mob at them.
Yeah, you taste through all of them, and then I'm like, well, I really like this. It's surprising.
Sure.
It's Columbia Valley.
Right.
It's like that's a bad thing. It really
Yeah,
isn't.
yeah.
There's
Actually,
There's great wines
this
in
Columbia Valley
Valley.
is actually good. Wait, did I say that out
Wait a
loud?
minute.
Yeah.
No, but Red Mountain has this reputation, and
It does.
justifiably so.
It does.
It's producing some amazing wines
It
out
does.
of there. Their Malbec out of Red Mountain.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
Jeez.
those cooler nights, hot
Yeah.
days.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, but you're right. Our biases that we went in with, which is human nature.
I mean, right?
You
Think
know?
about how much you miss based off of,
Right.
I'm not going to try that. And I think that's the thing when people, especially the younger generation, right? Freshly 21 and over, I would say anybody under 40, they don't quite know their palate
Sure.
very, very well. Your experienced red wine drinkers, not to put an age on it, but they know what they like and they usually stick to it and they're not willing to venture out. I have seen the younger generation go, okay, I heard you describe it. I'm willing to try that. And and then they enjoy, or they go, maybe not for me.
Sure.
And I love that.
And maybe
I
it'll be
love
for them
when
in a
they do
year
that.
or 6
Yep,
months.
true.
I mean, things evolve.
Yeah.
Yes.
One of the things that when we talk about social media and marketing,
Mhm.
Shelley and I, let's just say, were on the older edge
Sure.
of
Experience.
people
I'll raise my
in that
hand to
case.
that as well.
Yeah,
So
take
people are like, you
experience.
guys do social media management? Yeah, we do.
Do you
Wow.
know
we-
technology?
Believe it or
Wow.
not. But by the way, we also have 30 years more life experience
Uh-huh.
than now. I'm not saying that makes us better or worse. It just is different, and
Yep.
we bring a different
There's a
set of
wisdom.
tool
Yes, there's
in
a
our
wisdom there.
toolbox. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think there's room for everybody in life, including Shelley and Phil. So there you go. This is fantastic, by the way.
Yeah.
What is the dominant varietal on this? Is it the Cab?
I thought, Malt?
I have to think for a minute. I want to say that it's the Cab. It is the Cab.
Mm.
Yep. It is. It's by 46% Cab, I think.
Okay.
Wow.
And
This is fantastic.
The rest of the Malbec and the Merlot.
And I'll bet this went great with that chili.
Oh my gosh, I can't. And sometimes what I like to do is I try to pick out, okay, but what is it marrying? What is it like? What is it? And I'm like, is it
Don't
paprika?
overthink it.
What is it like? I want to pull it out because then I want to try it in other things, right? I want to go, okay, so that spice in this or that spice in here, and it could have been a number of things because of how much stuff. Chili is one of those things you just throw some stuff in, and
have you ever been with a group of people? Or a small group of people tasting through wines, having dinner, and you get that perfect pairing.
Oh,
yeah.
And you're going, this is amazing. I'm going to pick a couple more bottles of this.
Yeah.
And I'm going to try to replicate that.
No.
And you do that, and it's like, something's missing.
Yep.
Is it the people? Is it the situation? I mean, it never quite.
It's true. I would agree with you on that one. I would think it's who's around that table, because a lot of the time, the way we enjoy wine, we want to enjoy it with someone. We want to enjoy it with our friends. I mean, we host so much, which is part of the wine legacy that I love is the people. We love the great varietals. We love the science. We love the old world way, the new world way. He starts to explain it. I'm like, just pour it in the glass, way over the head. Just pour it in the glass.
I love that, but you have to have an element of that.
The people draw it out to me, and just the way you're hosting, and everyone's around laughing, or there's crying and there's snot bubbles. Hopefully, not too much of that, or the blood, sweat, and tears that you're talking about. I mean, there's just. To me, it's the conversation that just makes it that. You remember that wine, right? You remember that wine that you drank with those people on that occasion, talking about that conversation. Right. And I love it. I love it. So I would agree with you, Phil. I think it's
like that conversation in Sideways.
Yes.
Well, yes. I'm going to let you know right now that, like a broken clock, I can be right.
Okay.
Twice a day.
What are you right about?
Well, you said I agree with you.
Oh, yes, true.
Shelley, ask them a question, and I will come up with something to say in a minute.
Ask them a question.
Or I can just
fire away. Shelley.
For both of you, what was your gateway wine that you then thought of? Like, I like wine. I need to know more about it.
Yeah, Syrah.
Syrah.
Yeah, definitely.
You have a producer?
No, it didn't matter where. It was just I tried. And honestly, I don't even remember the Syrah that it was. I had a Syrah one time in a restaurant, and first time I ever thought wine was good. It's just I had it. I'm like, oh well, Syrah is what I want to drink. So then I just ordered Syrah everywhere that I went for years. And so I still love Syrah. But yeah, that was the one that I wish I knew which producer it was. Yeah. Where it was at, but
mine's not as fancy.
Yeah.
That's not that
Saint
fancy.
Chappelle.
Huckleberry
wine. Come on. Every event I went, I said, you got to go get a bottle of that. That's my favorite wine, the Huckleberry. And there was probably...
The residual sugar is like 10%.
I think that if on the scale of like the drinks, how it measures the amount of sugar, that was probably like a gallon-sized bag. And I just remember loving it. Or a Moscato, the mango Moscato that was more bubbles than a taste. It was just, you felt good drinking it.
It wasn't until I started producing I shouldn't say actual. Grape varietal type of wine.
The grape varietal.
So it makes sense because your grandmother made cherry wine.
Yes.
That you would go towards the Syrah.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought.
A little bit of cherry.
No,
and that cherry wine, I think, is what went from, okay, we're having fun playing around with all these different fruits and all this stuff that we can get our hands on over here. Yeah. Let's take it up a notch, because I called it Cherry Merlot. It was so dark that I called it a Cherry Merlot. There was no Merlot in it, but that's just what I referred to it as, just layman's, right? I just didn't understand anything. And it was that then catapulted us to go, I think we want to venture into this grapes varietal industry instead of staying with the fruit.
I had a vision too of vineyards. So Post Falls was known for agriculture. My great-grandfather came as apple trees, agriculture. The farmers that had all the land in Post Falls, they went to hay, and rightly so, in grains, because they had cattle. They had cattle, so they would feed the cattle and things like that. I think about if ancestors had planted orchards and things like that, I don't think that they would be in a situation where they are now, where the younger generation wanted to take over the farm.
Right.
Because it's hard for the younger generation to take over the farm when they're doing just hays and grains and things like that, because there's no style that drive or generation.
And there's no sustainability for your own family.
Correct. So we have great soil in the prairie. We have great water resources. So there's no reason why we can't get back into agriculture. And so I just had this vision of vineyards.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to bring that into Post Falls, and it'd be my little token of what I did for my family in Post Falls. So
I love that. You were talking about this dark cherry stuff, and this has got, to me, this very dark fruit.
The mouthfeel on it is just
really good.
It's my favorite. I feel like it can go both ways. You can sit down with the family and have a pot of chili with it, and it can be easy to drink and wonderful. And then you can elevate it, and you can take it and you can pair it with your peppery steak, your side of pasta,
elk tenderloin,
and just enjoy it.
You've never had elk tenderloin.
If you have not had an elk tenderloin, my goodness. My uncle hunts in Montana, and he shares elk with us every time we go there. He's so kind. And oh my goodness, he parted with some elk tenderloin. No steak compares.
Really? It is good.
An elk tenderloin. It is the tenderness and it's beautiful. Now that we're talking about meat, let's go ahead and have some, bring our wildlife experiences here.
We got turkeys, elk, what else? Llamas and emus.
Alpacas.
Alpacas.
Yes.
This is Farm Life 101.
Yes.
We've been through several things.
You guys had mentioned about the people in the wine when you're enjoying it, or the people making the wine, right? Mm-hmm. See if you can identify this. We haven't read this for a while. You ready?
Test.
I like to think about the life of wine, how it's a living thing. I like to think about what was going on the year the grapes were growing, how the sun was shining, if it rained. I like to think about all the people who tended and picked the grapes. And if it's an old wine, how many of them must be dead by now? I like how wine continues to evolve. Like, if I opened a bottle of wine today, it would taste different than if I opened it on any other day. Because a bottle of wine is actually alive, and it's constantly evolving and gaining complexity. That is, until it peaks.
Wow. Who was that?
It's from the movie Sideways.
Come on.
Yeah,
okay.
Sitting on the deck while their friends are off boinking in the other room. They're sitting on the deck having this really,
now you've got to write this
Okay.
episode.
No, I'm just stating facts.
No.
I could have said a different word.
I
thought cleaned it
agree
up
with-
pretty well.
I agree with that. And I actually compare it to that.
Yeah.
It is living,
is.
and it's amazing to see it doing it from vine into the glass.
Yeah,
We see it
I'm very,
every single stage. If you sit there long enough, not that I have this much time on my hands, but I have watched the vine, and it moves, and it's twirling, and it's going, and you're just like, this thing is alive. In fermentation, it's bubbling. It's doing its thing. It is literally in the barrel. You thief it one day, like you said, and it's different the next. And then you get it into the bottle, and it's doing its thing. You got to give it time.
It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable. It's a living thing, even until it hits your mouth.
I mean, you could even pull the same vintage, same everything wine, and you could run into two different.
Yeah, you can, depending on where it's at in the bottling line and
so,
how much oxygen got to it in the top of the tank compared to the bottom of the tank. Yeah.
I mean, I really believe that you technically cannot drink the same wine twice.
Which is wonderful.
It's
and
wonderful.
Also sad.
Yes, true.
It's also
but I think
sad.
it encourages to savor.
Sure.
It encourages you to just enjoy what's in front of you. Pick, even if it's something you don't. Yes, even if it's something you don't quite love. What is something you could say, I liked this here. Yeah. Maybe it's not something I'd pick up again. Sure. Maybe it's not something I'd pour at a dinner party. But guess what? I could pick out something that, it was great here. I liked this. I picked up this. I just love wine for that reason. It's just a moving target.
It really is a great lesson.
It's great.
To anybody who, from the start of your wine journey to if you are a so-called expert, it really is a great lesson to, if you don't like, we say this all the time, and someone's like, I don't like Merlot. It's like, well, you probably
I'm
haven't
not
had
drinking any Chardonnay.
Mhm.
You haven't had the right
My
one.
mom's Chardonnay. I'm not
ABC.
having that. No.
Anything but Chardonnay, right?
Yes.
Well, maybe you just haven't had the right Chardonnay. Maybe you go on with these preconceived ideas that I won't like that. It's a Chardonnay.
Right.
That's why I like these blind tastings. You know, when people are saying, I really don't like that, and you taste something blind, and I'll see. It's kind of like the Judgment of Paris.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they're drinking because they never had California wines,
Right? Yeah,
and they thought. These are from
our
Bordeaux and
country.
Well,
Burgundy.
they thought it was.
Yeah.
Well, and if you think about it, how often when you do try something with anything at that point, and it doesn't meet the expectation, do you ever pick it up again and try again?
Right.
And I think that's the other side of wine that I say, try this. Let me go back at it again and just see if maybe could it have been my palate? What did I have? What did I have right before? What was I pairing it with? Because I'll tell you right now, yes, if you pair it with something and it draws out the wrong note or it conflicts, yes, no, I don't like that. You probably will not pick that wine up again. Yeah. You probably will not go and buy that.
And go drink some wine.
Drink some orange juice and oh gosh, right.
Oh no.
When I think the typical wine consumer, we just saw the statistic, 95% of all wines purchased are drank within 8 hours. That's amazing.
It's great. Yeah.
And it's also, I don't think we're lazy per se, but we do get comfortable. It's like, we talked about this with Sam. He's like, sometimes I don't want to think about the wine I'm drinking. I just want to pull out a bottle. I just want to enjoy it. I don't want to overanalyze. And we're that way with Chardonnay. We will have generally a Chardonnay while we're preparing dinner.
Absolutely.
By we, I mean you and I watch. And then we move on from there. And we get a little lazy that way, that we need to maybe go some other places. Let's do an Albarino.
Well,
let's
do
a Roussan. I'm a big Roussan fan. But I mean, there are so many wines out there.
So many.
Just make it once a month. Go grab something off the shelf you've never heard of before.
Yes. Not based off the label, just based off of, I've never tried this varietal. I've never tried this producer. I've never tried this region. I've never tried this price point.
Right.
And I think that that's even fun. We've heard of a game where, and I'm sure you're familiar, but you have a dinner party and everybody brings a bottle of wine in the brown paper bag. And it's anywhere from, you can pick the range. You want to go upscale, 50 to 100. You want to go real fun, you go 5 to 25 or 5 to 100. And it is so much fun. And you each go around and you try it and you try to guess what wine is your top versus your bottom. And most of the time, I'll tell you this, you get it wrong. And it's amazing because you have no perception.
This movie that we watched, they had these experts and they had the top 3 Pinots out of 6. Okay. So these people tasted through these 6 Pinots, and they added all the scores, and they're up there in the wine world. So they took those 3, and then we had Jancis Robinson was one, Fred Dame was the other, and then Steve Spurrier. Those are the 3, that they brought these top 3 Pinots, and they blind tasted them.
No, there were more than 3. But they picked the top 3.
They picked the top 3 out for those guys and they tasted through blind, had no idea. All 3 picked a different one.
Wow.
One of them was a $210 Burgundy.
Wow.
But one of them was a $70 Pinot from Santa Barbara.
Oh, Santa
Barbara.
Wow.
I can't remember what the other one was. Also a Burgundy, I think a $70 or $80 one. But they all picked different ones. And there you go. You
never know. You got to go in. I like going into it a little bit blind because I think the expectation, you have no expectation.
Yeah.
You just, pour it in the glass and let's see. And so that's one of the funnest parts about all the winemaking process when he's in the lab. And I know we're near the end and he comes out with all of these little bottles, mad scientist style.
I'll have to show
and
you.
we do. We just try.
We have we do all on-site testing. We do quality controls with ETS. So my background is chemistry and oil industries.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. It's funny. I put in your about page into AI and it said they both have a background in financing. I'm like, I didn't see that anywhere on this. So I completely threw all of that out. I'm like, we're going to just do this organically.
I love that. I
mean, most of the time it's pretty good, but lately, and this is information I'm feeding it, I'm giving it to you. I'm just asking you to throw out a couple questions I might not think about.
Wow.
Ask what the difference is between making wine and their background in financing. I'm like, I don't see that anywhere. What are you talking about?
Oh my goodness, that's so interesting.
It is weird. I do have a question.
Yes.
So I see all of the bottles so far that we've had do not have corks.
No.
Is that a philosophy?
So actually corkscrews have been making their way a lot more into the wine industry.
You mean screw cap?
Corkscrew. Yeah, screw cap.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Like Australian, New Zealand.
Yeah.
So it's actually better for the wine. It really is. The greatest part about a cork is the popping sound that it makes when I pull it out of the bottle.
We like the romance. We really do.
Yes.
And that's it. But the nice thing about the screw caps is you can control the oxygen, the OTR, the oxygen transmission rate, depending on the type of wine that you're making. So if you want a higher OTR, you can get that type of screw cap. If you want a lower OTR, you can get that. The other thing is the seal. The seal is better. Most people that purchase wine don't have this cellar where you can lay the bottle down to keep the cork. Right. So over time, it actually is going to keep your wine more preserved, more opportunity not to spoil, I guess.
Yeah.
You don't have to store it laying down. You don't have to go and twist it all the time and things like that. So
easier storage for the consumer, in all honesty.
The other thing is, with the cork tree being harvested so much, the standards of the cork from premium cork nowadays wouldn't really even be a premium cork back when they were abundant in cork trees, because they had to move that standard a little bit. So, and for us as a boutique winery, when we first started off doing 300 cases the first year, we also read that there's like 1 in 12 bottles could have some sort of issue.
Like 1 in 10.
Is it 1 in 10 now?
Yeah, I think it's somewhere around 10%.
And for us, we're like, wait a minute, we can't even take that risk.
Right.
We did want to lean towards corks, but it just didn't make sense to do that because it really isn't better for the wine.
Not to cut you off, there's no difference in the machine. It's the same price for the machine for a cork versus a screw cap. There's no
for the environment
and sustainability. That's another
because we can recycle
part
those screw caps.
That's another part of it. So all of that to say.
Well, that's why I mentioned the cork trees being over harvested. I didn't get that far, but that was the other thing. I'm like, you know what? This just makes sense. I mean, 99% or higher in Australia are screw caps. I mean, we had an Australian cab, I think. That had a cork. It was like the first one in many, many years. And it is better. And generally, it's not going to make a difference at all. No. And now when you get the science behind it,
there's enough research. That's the other side of it. 10, 15 years ago,
they weren't sure.
It was like, whoa, what is this?
Like, what is this wine going to do in 20 years, right? But now we know.
Yeah, even my uncle, we presented... He goes, what is this Boone's Farm wine over here? And I'm like, hey, and I think that's the other side of it, to be 100% honest.
Oh, yeah.
I love to surprise people. When people are looking, why screw caps? I've had that, and I just love it. I'm like, well,
there's so many
share.
reasons. Not only that, being in North Idaho, out in the wilderness, out doing camping stuff, hanging out. You don't have to. You can open this bottle wherever you want to be floating down the river. You can open this bottle.
And guess what? I like the colors. Oh, you can do some fun colors. There's some metallic stuff. You can do that with corks, but you know what I'm saying. It's just there's some fun.
When we had Luke Marquez on from Molly Duker, all of theirs were screw caps, and
even very expensive.
Even the velvet glove. And Shelley's like, but we love the romance of the poppy. And she's like, Shelley, we all have one of these phones. Download something that goes.
Yes,
there is an app.
I do love the pop, and I miss that. I will say.
Is there any way that I can make this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, how am I going to patent that?
Well, I mean, you're the scientist. Figure it out.
Scientist,
The only thing that I would say is that if you have library wines you want to store, and then use not the Vinlock.
That's right. The Corvin.
Okay.
You
might want to cork those.
Right.
Because the Corvin,
Because then you can just make the tiny hole and take out your library wine and see what it's doing.
You know,
that's true.
Decades ago.
That's true.
Because once you open that, you're not going to be able to.
There's no. You got maximum 3 days, 3-4 days.
I mean,
we call
vanilla,
report.
Oh, the report.
Yeah, we've been using the
tap through
report.
the cork, yeah.
No, the report is something that's you use it per bottle, so it's not good sustainable that way.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and it's not bad. We had to do this with the Molly Duker wines. It was about a week because we had 6. And we love to drink wine, but we also need to work.
Yes.
And so we put those repours in, put them in the fridge, and the trick is to pull them out like an hour and a half, 2 hours before you're going to drink it.
But it absorbs.
It absorbs the oxygen up into a little deal in the cap, and I've been told it will last 3 months.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah. So, and someone who knows their wine has said he's had that in a fridge for 3 months and pulls it out, and there's no difference.
See, I come across the person that's like, why do you need a cap?
Well,
that doesn't make any sense.
I come across the person who, why do you need anything after you've opened the box? Right?
Exactly. Who's storing what?
Yeah.
No, there's no, that's gone. What are you talking about?
You can always just keep a little can or a little bottle of argon on the counter, and
that's right. You can do that. The response generally is like, "Oh, that's so cute. You save your wine for the next time."
Exactly.
Speaking of the next wine,
yes,
we have one last one.
Yes.
I'm going to talk a little bit about, while you're pouring this, I will finish yours. I'm the dump bucket.
Yep.
The Wine Time Fridays social web
wine word of the week.
Wine words of the week.
Wine words. Okay.
Boutique Winery.
Yes.
Oh, nice. Our favorite.
Yeah. So a boutique winery is a small, specialized winery, much like Rosemary Manor, that produces limited quantities of high-quality, unique wines, often with a focus on artisanal and handcrafted techniques. Am I accurate in that description?
Yeah, I think you are. Yeah.
See, AI is 1 for 2 today.
Nice.
1 for 2.
I have a whole bunch of other notes about that, but that really kind of does describe that. I don't know what the number is. It says here typically produces fewer than 10,000 cases per year and often much less. I think what we were used to is boutique wineries would be producing less than 1,500.
Yeah, 2,000.
When I was selling wine, it was less than 500.
Wow.
Way back in the late 70s.
I also think there's an element to, as Keelan was describing way earlier, is the amount of attention that you can pay to each individual barrel. I mean, we do not test one and treat across the board like a lot of your very large wineries producing millions of gallons. I think the value in what we want to do and how we want to stay is manageable.
Look at the legs on
this. We want to be able to manage each barrel, test accordingly, and make adjustments as minimally as we can. And so to me, the boutique side of it isn't just the cute, fancy word that we all love, but it's truly an attention to detail, an attention to premium,
that you can't do
premium wine that you just can't
scale.
do. You can't. Yeah. You just can't.
Which one of the things
value.
that are so amazing about Dow down in Paso, they went from 0 to 100,000 cases produced in less than 10 years.
Wow.
And Dow makes some really good wines. That's hard to do.
Really hard.
But I think that they were able to somehow figure out they're still not able to do it.
And I think
like
that's
you're talking about.
what and we've even been told that before. It's like we want a handle on it. We don't want to grow so large that you then lose the value to the consumer.
Sure.
And I think that's the thing for me when I see us growing and people, are you going to do this? Are you going to come out with this? And there's always the growth that of course we want to do. We want more people to know.
Right.
We want to share more wine, but I don't ever want to grow so large that I'm not able to keep up the quality of wine.
What is that ceiling?
We have yet to reach it. So
that's
even
good.
What we're doing now, we have yet to reach it. We're growing, but
that's the family driven part. So as long as we can continue to put our family first, the next generations, I would love to see this turn into something global. From Post Falls wines coming out of here.
Love that.
So my grandkids or my great grandkids, do what you need to do at that point in time. Just, keep the legacy going and growing, because the way that we look at it is our ceiling is going to be our kids' floor. And as long as we can continue that theology and that in our family tree and throughout the generations, we'll be doing
That was
I'll
something
pass
we
away
got
and
off our
see.
pastor.
Yeah.
Years
Yeah.
and years and years and years ago, he said, your ceiling will be your kids' floor.
Just
Where are
such a
you?
great statement.
Where are you taking off, and where are they beginning? Where are you thinking of ending and they beginning?
Yeah.
And that's
ownership.
And that's the legacy
Yeah.
part. And I would even go a step further, to be 100% honest, and say it's not just about our little unit, our 6, the people close to us.
Right.
This is, let the ripple go out. Let the ripple and let the community get some of the benefits too.
Yeah.
And
look, that's fantastic.
It's not just the Rosemary Manor name. How can we bring value to Post Falls, to Northern Idaho? I mean, that's to me, and then, like you said, I mean, okay, Lord willing, yes, let the ripple go out even farther.
Yeah.
But as long as it's this idea that let other people eat off that tree, let other people share the fruit, the fruit.
It is a part
Pun
of
intended.
that. The raising tide raises all. So like you can spearhead and get this thing going, and the naysayers will like, you can't do this.
And then you'll notice people will say, "Well, if he can grow grapes in Post Falls, I
just
can."
And we are doing that. So
Absolutely.
we'll be planting more vines down on the prairie. We got 4 more varietals that we're going to be planting down there. I'm not sharing what those are yet because when I start making good wine, I'll let everybody know how it turns out. But
you want to share to a point, but
to a point.
come
Yeah.
on.
But I mean, I do want to see these just old farmlands be maintained by their family
And preserved.
and they can just have that ownership. And so if we can get something that you plant that you're not going to just pull up every year and it becomes a generational thing, right? And it's just amazing. Yeah. It'll be fruitful for everybody in the community for sure.
What do we have in our glass here?
So this is our 2021 Syrah.
And she's a beauty.
It is.
My goodness, complexity.
Really,
would this
oaky.
be 100%?
This is 100% Syrah done in new French oak.
I will tell you this. If we do a combination of anything, to me, that's not staying true to that varietal. Yeah. If I'm trying to, then that would be a blend. Now, our opinions may change, but for right now, there's that element of stay true to that varietal. Let it be. Let people try it for what it is and understand it for what it is, and then expand off of that. And this is just, there's decadence. And a lot of people don't expect that with Syrah.
This one needs a little bit more aging, though, for my liking.
Oh, for sure.
The tannins in it are really sharp still. I'd say in about 3 years, this is going to be.
See, I'm getting a little softer tannins.
Yeah, I would. Nope, absolutely. And that's why I almost thought that the red blend was a little bit more elevated. It was a little bit stronger to me in the sitting in the jowls and just down the throat and the longer finish. This is just such a beautiful wine, and it's one of our top selling wines, I will say, probably because it is so easy to drink for a red.
Oh, I mean,
it's
easy. Fantastic.
And I like
Yakima
it because,
Valley also?
Yes, Yakima Valley, yep.
The early wine drinker who doesn't quite know what they like and the experienced red wine drinker can both enjoy this. And I think that's the goal.
What year is this?
This is the 21.
2021.
All right.
What's the alcohol on that?
This one is, I want to say 14.
14.
Yep.
14.
We're pretty consistent in that side of things.
Yeah,
right
we're
around there.
14 point. We have a Dolcetto coming out the end of this year. And it was pushing 16%. So
that does sound like an Australian red.
Yes.
Very good wine.
But again, it's all about balance, right?
It is about balance. You don't want to be too high, but it actually is going to probably be. It'll probably end up being one of our better reds for sure. From what I'm seeing.
How are you going to bring the alcohol down on that?
So I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the question. Actually, Shelley and I talked about last night. Is
you really
how can we bring? I said I think the problem is if you pick with the bricks lower, fine, but it's going to affect the quality, and then you've got the.
From my understanding, I don't think that you're allowed to add water to it after the wine is made, anyways.
Oh no.
So that wouldn't be when you harvest it. When you find the bricks, then that's when you can add the water to bring the bricks down to make the wine that you're looking for, but.
Are you able to walk the vines that you're getting this fruit from?
Yeah. I'm actually when I go pick them up, I go out to the vineyard and help them pick.
Oh, nice.
That's really cool.
So what's really cool
is this is amazing.
Yeah.
This got such a great finish. It just doesn't go away. I'm
It's,
sorry.
And
It's
it's
still there.
almost just smooth.
Yeah.
It's a
The oak,
smooth
and it's new.
vanilla.
That new oak
Oh.
is definitely.
How many times will you use just the one time and then that's getting towards neutral, or will you use it again?
So I actually, they say about 5 times, but that's, I don't
3
know
to
who,
5.
I don't know who
3
they
to
are.
5.
Yeah, that seems a little.
Yeah. So
I would say 3. 3 is a good.
what I want to do is
Keep on it.
when I start losing the oak, I could do like oak beans or something like that for that year if it doesn't create the oakiness that I'm looking for. And then I would get rid of them. I don't want to use the oak chips. Some people, they call them with the infusion tubes too much.
Say, yeah.
But if you get to the year where it's like, oh, okay, this isn't giving me the oakiness that I'm looking for, you can always use that as a.
So if you do that, and at the end you're like, no, not enough oak, can you then put it in another barrel that you buy for a little bit?
You could. Like I would lean more towards your infusion tubes with the beans if you were going to take that route. I haven't had that experience yet. This is just some things that I picked up through the industry. They're like, oh, well, if your oak starts getting low, you could always use this as a backup. So I have yet to have to throw away barrels or get new barrels. Well, I shouldn't say that. Our first year, 2019, was done in neutral barrels.
Okay.
And that's why she talks about that 2019. We talk about it a lot as it's a true cab because you're not going to get a lot of interference of
right.
and that charredness. You're going to just take it's
more comparable to a European, to an Italian.
Yeah, you're getting the micro-oxidation and things like that.
Get the oak influence without getting the oak influence.
Yeah,
you're going to get the depth, but it doesn't really change the profile as much.
Which is tough because it doesn't. Yeah. Unfortunately, light oak wines don't win competitions. You know, judges when they're tasting all these wines.
If you get Parker.
if you get a wine that just punches you in the face with oak, it's set aside, right? It's set apart from all the other ones, and so the judges will lean towards that.
It comes down to personal preference.
It
always does.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, I have here in our notes that, and I forgot to mention this when we had the blush, that we have this coming Monday is National Rosé Day, even though it should be called National Rosé / Blush Day.
Exactly, Phil. You're right a third time. My goodness, you're on a roll.
Put that in the bank for this week.
You're on a roll.
Shelley, you want to talk about the other things coming up in the future?
Days.
Yeah.
So we have on the 5th, we have Bubbly Day. That's always fun. 10th, National Rosé Day. We have Prosecco Week because they need a whole week.
Yes.
11th through the 16th. And also on the 16th, drink Chenin Blanc Day, which we don't often do.
No, we should do that.
Well, what a surprise. I would say do it. Right?
I think
Come
we
on,
will.
do some Chenin Blanc.
And 21st, World Lambrusco Day, which I love. It's just a really nice patio.
I was going to say,
you don't have to justify
this is a back door, like on the porch swing.
Oh, yeah.
I like it. Mason jar.
Right. International Rosé Day. On the 22nd. And the first week of July is International Sparkling Wine Week.
And just today, we nailed down a guest for the
Idaho
21st for Idaho Wine Month. Yep. Split Rail Winery.
Wow.
We're going to have Jed on. And next week, I think we're going to open some wines from Revora. Revora has a tasting room in Coeur d'Alene that is slowing down because they got bit big time by the freeze in January.
Oh, no.
And so they want to stay true to their wine club and their tasting room down in Julietta. But they're going to have some events. So
cool.
We're going to have both. Gosh, come on.
I'm not sure where you're going, but
my cousin Vinny. What happened?
We blacked out for a minute.
Vince will be there, and I'm going to take all this out because I can't think of his name, and it's pissing me off. I want to say Lance, but anyway.
I'm not going to do the whole start naming a bunch of names.
No.
What's his name? Henry, John, Jacob.
Jingermeyer or Smith or whatever. Anyway, that's right. Some wines that we enjoyed this week, we have the Dow Chardonnay, Rocky Pond Glacial Treasure White Blend. That was really quite good. We did have the Revora Insomniac, J. Bookwalter Conflict. We we had some good wines. It was a lot of fun. Goose Ridge Merlot and Hedges CMS. Do want to say thank you to today's sponsors, CDA Gourmet. They have their anniversary coming up very soon.
Very soon.
1 year.
Wow.
Yeah. So go and say hello. That Shelley and Phil from Wine Time Fridays send you, and of course, Cara and why does he do that? I don't know. Cara and Keelan also sent you, and 3D Kitchens by Design. We might have a little bit of surprise news, but I can't say anything yet.
Ooh.
And Eternal Wine. Cara and Keelan, thank you so much.
This was
Good
fun.
time.
This
Thank
was
you guys
awesome.
for having
This was
us.
great for the first one.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
wonderful.
a conversation over a glass of wine.
Who doesn't
Over
love
your
that?
glass of wine.
Come
That's what I
on.
want. I'm going to pepper you with a couple questions. Okay.
Okay.
I need to know price points, please, of the Alvarihno when it gets released. Is
Okay.
going to be around.
Gosh, I don't know. I want to say it will probably be in its lower to mid 20s.
Okay.
For that one, I believe. Yes, that's
Okay.
as much as I'm going to say about
Perfect.
that.
That gives us a target.
Yes.
How about that Caveman white blend?
Same. It'll probably be about a 25, I would assume, maybe $1 bottle.
And we have the blush.
Yes, she's 22.
She is, isn't she?
Yes, she is.
And that the red blend.
Is 29? 29. I want to say it's 29.
And that last Syrah.
Ooh, she's not even out yet. I want to say she's probably going to be around 27 to 29.
And then
price point.
Yeah.
They're fantastic price
Yeah.
points. And why are they all females?
Because they're delicate and they need to be loved and they need to be cared for.
Wow,
and
you
they
get very
are
animated right now, Cara.
graceful. They're graceful. Wine is a slow process. She is not quick. I'll tell you that.
No.
Take it slow and easy.
You got to take it slow,
Take it
and you
slow
must
and
wine and
easy.
dine her.
Oh.
Why we keep going on with the her, it's getting weird. I don't know. But yes. Delicate. They're delicate.
Thank you so very
Thank
much
you.
for
Yeah,
being
this was
here.
so fun.
Yes.
Learned
This
a
was a
lot.
blast.
I'm
And-
always happy to learn things.
By the way, we didn't really touch on this, but you guys do a great job of getting your name out in front of people.
Or just getting involved with the community.
Yeah, through community events where you guys get out there. And that's where we learned about you. That's where I learned about you. And I'm like,
Who's this?
Yeah, because, you know, I had preconceived ideas, right?
Yes.
This is I think it was the Chardonnay from Rosemary Manor.
Viognier.
Was it Viognier?
Yeah, I want to say it was
Chardonnay's not
because
out yet.
Chardonnay's not out yet.
Okay, so this is like almost a year ago.
Mhm.
Yeah, Viognier.
Yeah, it was Viognier then, and so I'm like, I don't know where are these guys from. Post Falls. Huh? Okay,
That's
you
cute.
import.
That's cute.
We got
Right?
that.
And I taste this thing, and I'm like,
Did
Really?
it slap you in the face?
No, but it was like a very nice surprise, and so that's
Yeah.
why you have to be careful going into these preconceived notions
Mm-hmm.
and allow your preconceived notions to be wrong.
Yeah.
Let's
That's
just
the
put
thing.
that across the board
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah.
Life lesson
Yes.
101.
Yeah,
Come on, take
take accountability and
Yeah.
responsibility that you maybe were not correct when you went in on
Yes.
this, and you'll reevaluate your
Yeah.
opinion a little
and
bit.
you'll miss the value.
That's
Don't
right.
want to
Always
miss
be
the value.
curious.
Always be curious. ABC that
Yes,
way.
that's great.
Yeah,
With
That's
a
great.
little bit of knowledge, and we
Yeah.
gave a lot today,
Yeah.
wine becomes a lot less overwhelming.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here. Next week, we're going to pull out a couple bottles from Revora in honor of Idaho Wine Month, not Idaho June Month.
There you go.
And, and we will see you next week on Wine Time Fridays.
Bye.
Shelley.
Beautiful.
Oh, sorry.
Excellent job.
Oh! Got it.
Thank you for spending part of your day to wind down with Shelley and Phil. Remember, you can listen to any episode of the Wine Time Fridays podcast by visiting winetimefridays.com or wherever you get your podcasts. And join us on our Wine Time Fridays Facebook page, Instagram, or on Twitter, which is @VintageTweets for daily conversation. Until next week, here's our toast to you. To health, wealth, abundance, gratitude, peace on earth, and of course, romance.